think I am
An
entitled.
Oiler. Yes,
I am entitled to my shitty catchphrases and my Bill O'Reilly. By the way, it's funny.
Yes, we saw it.
You saw my Bill O'Reilly video?
Yes,
Dude, fuck Bill O'Reilly. Listen,
yeah.
let me tell you, that guy, he says all the time, he's like, everybody who knows me knows I go right down the middle. I just call balls and strikes. But I got to say, maybe the Pentagon putting these, requirements in place for reporters, maybe that goes a bit too far.
Yeah, it's weird that a reporter would be against a rule mandating you to be like a North Korean style presenter, and you always take the government's position on everything. It seems to cut against the very heart of journalism. I mean, I
he's
think
a journalist. He wants you to know that. He wants you to know he's a journalist.
He's been pushing this like balls and strike thing ever since like the early 2000s with Jon Stewart and all that stuff.
When he was on The Factor.
Yeah.
Oh, do you guys remember the speaking of Jon Stewart? Do you all remember it was the year was 2012? It was a simpler time, and Bill O'Reilly and Jon Stewart had, I think it was called the Rumble in the meticulously air conditioned auditorium, and that's
the Bullshit Mountain one, right?
The Bullshit Mountain one. Yeah, do you guys remember that?
Yeah, I remember
Hutch?
that. Yeah.
No.
You don't remember the?
It's before IRI's time. He's too young.
I wasn't paying attention to politics.
You weren't?
Not in 2012. No, I started paying attention like 2016.
Damn.
Yeah, you got to remember, IRI he was in music videos. He was like a Hollywood celebrity.
He's a late bloomer.
I think I saw somewhere. Were you back on with? I'm blanking on the fucking group.
Yes, he was.
Again? Were you on stage with them again?
This weekend I was on stage with them. Yeah. I was at a festival. Awesome. When we were young, it was like a bunch of emo bands like Blink 182, Avril Lavigne in Vegas.
Did they get your autograph?
I took a picture with Avril Lavigne, met her, and some people like that.
I want to see that picture because after that not so erudite picture with Gavin Newsom, my entire I feel like I'm 2 degrees away from everyone famous.
You are. It's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but 6 degrees of IRI.
Pisco, did you just say I'm 2 degrees away as if you're not co-hosting a podcast with someone who also took a photo with Gavin Newsom?
Oh, you did?
Wow.
You didn't
even see it.
No, I did see it. I did see it.
He put it in the group chat. He spammed it like 40 fucking times.
I fucking saw it, dude.
Chat,
you love Gavin. You're so charmed at this point. This is how, by the way, how easy it is to get like the new media people to just stan any politician is just to give them 1 ounce of attention.
It's the other way around. I gave him money and now I get tax breaks. So.
Wait, I gotta know: is he as good looking in person as he comes off on?
Oh my God,
camera?
He's pretty good looking. He looks like he was in a frat.
Oh fuck yeah!
Was he just posted in the partner lounge for anybody to come up to?
No, this was like an exclusive thing where like certain people with connections got in, and then a bunch of people dropped out because they're like, "What do you mean we can't live stream the one-on-one?" So I thought it might be a little sketch, but it was actually like a really good conversation. He in contrast to Ken Martin, was there asking the right questions, like, what the hell is Twitch? What's Facebook? What do I do? How do I reach out to these communities that you guys are like, catering to?
He asked, what is Facebook?
Not literally, but he's like, what's Discord? What's the difference between Discord and Twitch? Like, what do you guys
Martin
into?
did or Gavin did? Now
this is
what
Gavin
was asking the right questions, and the right question is, what's the difference between Discord and Twitch?
Well, the real questions were, how do I reach out to these communities? What are your guys' concerns? How can you mobilize like your communities to help like us? Like the thing that Ken Martin didn't do. So
Hutch, Pisco, did anyone reach out to you guys about this? I didn't hear.
Oh no, yeah, no.
This fucking idiots. Like, no offense, not you, Soy Pill, but these guys. Like, who did they reach out to? Fucking Denims and Hassan's Orbiters. Like, what the fuck, man?
Oh, there's some saltiness.
It was like a whole. It was a whole.
It pisses me off that they don't reach out to people like us. Like, like what the fuck?
Can we shine a light on that for just a second? Because I actually do want to draw attention to him. By the way, we're not alone. I think even David Pakman's been bitching about this lately.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah.
After the election, we were starting to see. I know I was starting to see a lot more success in terms of getting responses from Congress people and senators. It almost seemed like they learned the lesson, like, okay, social media presence matters, and we need to cast as wide of a net as possible. I gotta say, over the past several months, that has been it's like gone to back where it was pre-elections. Very difficult to get in touch with people.
And now Soy Pill's soying out over Gavin Newsom asking what the difference is between Discord and Twitch.
No, I mean,
other things.
I think it's great that Soy Pill was able to land that, and he hangs out with Ro Khanna every fucking week. I mean, they go bar hopping together. It's insane.
And Taylor Lorenz. So he's and he doesn't get any shit for that, by the way. I get shit for being like a communist, and Soy Pill's best friend is Taylor Lorenz. I mean, what's the deal there?
Did Taylor know how close you are with Hutch? And the mad shit that Hutch has talked about Taylor Lorenz?
When she was talking shit about Hutch, I texted her. I was like, I think you think that Hutch is Dan Saltman. And she's like, you're right. I do think that Hutch is Dan Saltman. And then she deleted the tweet.
Does she still think that Hutch is Dan Saltman?
No, she now knows who Hutch is.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I doubt I pop up on her radar very often.
No, it was just like
it was during Pillow Talk or something.
It's like one tweet happened, and she's like, "This guy's this crazy Zionist like freak, right?" It's like, "Oh no, whatever you're criticizing him for." She's specifically, you're talking about Dan Saltman, not Hutch. So
now I gotta know.
I gave you shit in the text thread. I gotta know. Did she demand a full audit of your finances when you went to get the check?
She didn't. In fact, she paid and then I Venmo'd her. So it was.
Yikes.
She didn't even know where the money came from.
Venmo is well known as a nexus of dark money, so I would be careful.
Dark money.
Yeah, I learned it from Matt Gates, but Taylor isn't 17, so I don't know if
we don't know how old she is. Isn't that the meme?
That's
that
the
meme?
That's
See, I'm catching up.
Layup.
You guys make fun of me all the time for not knowing shit about like streamers and streaming culture, which is, of course, one of the many reasons why I'm leaving. But I know more than what you think. I know that there is a meme about Taylor Lorenz's.
Do you have spies,
birthday.
Josiah? Because certain like people have spies, like certain content creators, they have spies everywhere feeding them information.
No, the sad thing is, really, it does come down to you guys and Aaron, straight rate. Yeah. So like, if I need like
a communist.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you gotta have a wide range of sources. So I have people as far right as Hutch and IRI, and as far left as Aaron giving me my information. So
Hutch, the rabid Zionist.
yeah, and you as far left too. I have the communist blocked, and I don't know where Soy Pill falls, but anyway,
Soy Pill's kind of part of the gangster left,
slightly left of Hutch. I'm somewhere in the middle there.
So you're enlightened centrist.
Seems about right.
But you think you're to the right of me?
I'm definitely to the right of you, Pisco, but barely. Like,
who's the rightest person in the group here? Is it me?
We're all libs, so this is like a silly distinction to make. I would say.
I think
you I'm the most left-wing person. Did I say something? I'm sorry.
Yes.
What? I didn't hear.
Are you not?
I asked, "Do you think I'm the most left-wing person?" I mean, that's what Soy Pill kind of said.
I don't know. Maybe you're a Soy Pill for sure.
What are your policy disagreements? Like, what do you do you guys both support Medicare for all?
Yeah, I feel like we are. You couldn't identify an issue. Can you identify an issue in which I'm more to the left of you, Soy Pill?
I think it's just like the vibe I get. Like, I guess technically I do have a very tiny podcast with a Marxist-Leninist, but that's about. Hold on. Wait.
You literally said I have a tiny.
But it's a movie podcast, so we never really talk politics. And when we do, we disagree. But
she's not a Marxist-Leninist, right? First of all, and second of all, because you have a podcast with a leftist, you're a leftist.
No, but I think you would probably overlap more with
get along pretty well,
right?
I mean, I also have. I was considering back in the day, not anymore. I don't think he would do it. IRI, this would be of interest to you. I was going to do a show with Rob Noir for a little bit. We were going to do like a Hannity and Colm style thing.
Oh my God!
But he just, at this point, I think he's a little bit too angry all the time. So,
dude,
I think we'd get great views. I think it would be fucking fire. But no, I wouldn't be a conservative if I did a show with Rob Noir.
I'm just trying to imagine how that show would go. I don't know if I could watch it. Like as much as I try to support everything you guys do, but if you had a show with Rob Noir, I don't think I could do it.
It would be fuego. Yeah. Like every week, just memorable fucking exchanges. I
don't think it would be worth it, bro. I think that would just be too
for mental health.
Yeah, seriously.
Fuck you, Hutch. I love you, buddy, but you're the only one here I don't think who has had the pleasure. Have you even debated Rob or had a conversation with? Oh, you have?
No, I've had.
Okay, well then I withdraw my fuck you.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, there was one about the troops where what was it? That one was funny.
Trump went into Arlington Cemetery and
right.
And
he now wants to have a conversation.
That
about
was
the
so
thing.
good. He rolled. Hutch rolled him so badly on that one. I forgot about that. And then I think I saw a Hippy Dippy or something, a panel with IRI where Rob just lost his shit at you. And was it Andrew?
And Pisco was on that panel as well.
Yeah. Oh.
I won't talk to him. He's so annoying. He I won't talk to him because of how unkind he is to Pisco. I know Pisco doesn't give a shit, but like, it drives me nuts that Pisco will patiently talk to him for like 3 hours, and he'll be like, and at the end of it, he'll walk away saying, "You're so disingenuous, Pisco. You're a liar." It's like, fuck you, bro.
He doesn't wait till the end. I wish he waited until the end. He doesn't even do that. Like,
no, he doesn't anymore.
Oh, really?
So I'm about to post a couple. I have some Rob Noor debates in the bank that I've never posted. So I'm posting some of them, and going back on them, I can see like how polite I am to this guy in these early conversations. And it's just how it's disintegrated since then.
And as soon as you like finally break the like, well, I'll be nice to you for 2 hours, and you're like, okay, dude, fuck you, that was bad faith. They're like, whoa, dude, you're totally coming at me. How dare you? Like, I've been nice, and now you're trolling me. And it's like, oh,
you
God,
gotta
so fragile.
You gotta put yourself in their shoes. Like if you're like a MAGA supporting influencer, I mean, we all remember the Biden years. So sometimes that was difficult to defend, like we all did it, but sometimes it was like kind of exhausting. We didn't even have to come close to what these people have to rationalize. Like they have to find a way to explain why they're okay with Donald Trump saying he would consider pardoning a woman who was convicted of raping children. Like we've never had to do that.
And there's like shit on Americans. Like that AI video is wild.
That's
sorry.
Harry Sisson, and then Vance responded to him, right? He's like, I'll ask
him, Harry. I'll ask.
We are living in a bizarre matrix world where the president of the United States is posting AI videos of him taking a dump on Harry Sisson, and JD Vance is trolling about it.
Well, Pisco, it's much worse than that, because it's not just, like back in 2016, Trump posted stuff that was like the really crappy Photoshop, Sony Vegas stuff of, Trump is, beating up CNN, and everyone freaked out about that. And that was bad, don't get me wrong. But now it's, hey, I detest the millions of people that came out and protested against me this week, which is like, I don't know why that was the thing that made me go, oh my God, like that made the hair on my neck stand up, because it is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. But like the idea that like there could be this massive movement against a president, and the president says, I hate all of you, I'm going to shit on you. That is like it must be how the MAGA has felt for the past 10 years when like Joe Biden says like, there are some bad MAGA people.
Remember they're all throwing out because Biden was like, he did that.
MAGA Republicans is what he called them, and they lost their minds.
Yeah, what did he say? It was that Hitler speech he gave.
Independence Hall speech. Red light. He had his fists up and there was red light. Can I tell you too, real quick, when it comes to Biden having his fist up, I don't know if you guys remember this, but this one is indelibly seared into my memory, and it'll probably be one of the last things to go if I ever die of Alzheimer's. It was Biden giving his speech after his victory in 2020. So it was before he was inaugurated, but they had the big victory speech, and then Vice President-elect Harris spoke first, and then she introduced Biden. It was the funniest thing. There's probably clips of it out there. Biden walks out on stage with his masks, and he's well known for his like fist bump or whatever, but he brought both fists up for some reason. And I'm like, are you about to deck Kamala here? It's just the funniest thing. He went up like this.
Fired up, bro. It's like the Elon Nazi.
He was fired up.
He was. 2020 Biden was different. Remember when he gave that speech out in the deluge? It was like a torrential downpour, and he didn't die.
No,
you don't remember that?
I don't remember.
All right,
him
bro.
not dying,
Come on,
yeah.
you remember that? You
I
don't
remember
remember?
It was cold with Bernie and the mittens.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen. So people are asking in chat, was this?
Whoa! Look at that bicep. Wait. Do that again.
Thank you. Stop it. And that's why I told you that video of Soy Pill is not him. It's his face superimposed digitally on my body. It's really disgusting how he tries to take credit for my gains. But anyway, real quick, let's clean some house here. So people are asking, is it a bait title? Literally cleaning out. No, it's not. I am leaving. And I want to be very clear about this, because I'll be honest with you, when I was like in between videos and I checked Twitter and everyone's like, he's leaving because of Hutch, this last conversation with Hutch. I'm like, I was like gonna wait to tell everybody why, or the audience why, but I had to like post like a bunch of disclaimers. So let's go ahead and establish the timeline here. And Pisco and Hutch are the ones who can probably establish it the most, because it actually preceded IRI and Soy Pill. But at the time of Boy leaving, I was also thinking about leaving as well. This was something that's been discussed for weeks.
Months, right?
I guess. How long has it been since Boy?
Maybe weeks, maybe
months,
weeks.
However long it was since Boy left. I was thinking about it, because you got to remember at that time, there was so much drama going on that Pisco was doxxed, Hutch was doxxed, I was doxxed. I think Econoboy was worried he was going to get doxxed. And so there was that shit going on, and it was just really soul crushing. I'll be honest with you. I took Econoboy quitting the online sphere very, very hard because, Pisco's been up and coming for the past year. Hutch is doing his thing. Econoboy was gaining momentum slowly but surely. He was on Tim Pool. And with Econoboy not just leaving the show, but quitting online politics, I really took that as a blow to the space, because I'm sure you would all agree, Econoboy, even if you didn't agree with his policies, as a debater and a communicator specifically for economics or liberal or leftist economics, he was a really strong voice, kind of like how Pisco has been for the law niche. I felt like Econoboy was going to fill that for like the economics niche or whatever. And so like losing, I just took it really personally. And of course, I'm married now. And so when the doxing thing happened, I'm like, okay, it's not just me, it's my wife. And so all of that was factored in, and Pisco and Hutch were like, well, just listen, let's see, let's get some more hosts and let's see how it goes. And I've had fun, but it's just not been the same. And Hutch leaving right here, this is exactly this lack of support. That's the reason I'm building up to.
He's fist pumping right now.
Like, he is. Yes! He's pumping in more ways than one, if you know what I mean. His fists are full. But I've done this off and on, and I've had a good time with you guys. But the other thing too is time. And so I've been very privileged in terms of the success of YouTube, and my channel, but I'm still a one-man show. And with all due respect to Luke and Adam, and I think even Jack, they get a lot, like they have a lot of help. They've hired people, like they have editors and producers, and I'm still a one-man show. So I crank out 5 to 8 videos a day. I do all my own research, all the recording, the editing, the upload, the SEO, the thumbnail. And so I'm glued to my desk at all times. And so that's also a problem. So I'm sitting down a lot and I'm not taking care of myself. And I realize, holy shit, I haven't eaten in 6 hours. And so I DoorDash the quickest shit. And so I've gained weight, and it's just all of it factoring in together. And before I started doing this full time, not only was I in very good shape, but I also had a very active social life, which I used to be really proud of. And so instead of going out with my friends or, 2 or 3 times a week, if I see them once a month, it's a fucking miracle. So for all that reason, I need to claw back the 2 hours I spend usually here on Live and Learn, especially because I'm not a good streamer. Like I do all my shit pre-recorded, and the audience kind of bears it out. I get 20 million views per month, and I can only pull like 200 concurrents. Like my audience is not interested in my live streaming. So all of it together, this was kind of the weakest link. So I feel that, the rest of the Live and Learn crew, they're better suited for this, and I can get those 90 to 120 minutes back and, either spend it with my wife or friends or go to the gym or whatever. So I'm trying to like trim the fat as much as I possibly can. And the last thing I'll say is like, again, regarding my disagreements with Pisco and Hutch, that happens and it can get intense. And yes, they can annoy the fuck out of me in the moment, but I love these guys. And I wouldn't be in their chats as much as I am. And this was actually what I was hinting at with Hutch. We were, I think, both trying not to give the game away during our last conversation when I told him, like, this is part of the problem. I can sit here and we can rant or talk for like 3 hours when I should have been recording. And I can't remember, Hutch, if you felt this way, but I felt like there was a moment where we were trying not to go ahead and reveal that I made the decision to leave by that point. So, so that's the problem when people ask, well, are you gonna still like pay attention to their chats or jump in? Probably, but that's part of the problem. I have very poor impulse control, and so I can get one guide and I can get roped into these 3-hour conversations and like totally ignore my other responsibilities. So I really got to step back, and that's all I'll say. I still love these guys. Donate a shit ton of money to them, so they have my support. And that's it.
You just said you get 20 million views on YouTube a month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably donate more then, right?
That's really what we're doing.
You really have,
I streamed from TwitchCon. He said I said something stupid. He dropped his phone and broke it, so he donated $100 to me. I'm like, dude, buy a new phone. What are you doing?
No, I got to tell you that too. So that was funny. So it was, again, so when I get some free time or whatever, if I'm like walking or if I'm doing anything that doesn't require my full attention, and sometimes when it does, I'll have Pisco in, or I'll have Hutch in, I'll have IRI in, I'll have Soy Pill in. I've been in your chats a lot of times and donoing. And, I guess it was this past weekend. I was, and it happened again, like every time I'm like done cleaning the bathroom, because this happened with Pisco too. I have soy pill in my ear and I put the phone in my pocket, or I tried to, I have it in my hand, and I'm walking down the steps and I hear soy pill say to a female co-host, "Hey, look at this hog." Or so he does. He says, "Hey, look at this hog." And so I drop my phone and the phone clatters down the steps and it breaks my privacy screen anyway. And he was talking about, he was talking about a fat Republican.
The young Republicans. We were looking at those guys who had their texts leaked. And
but it threw me the fuck off when he said,
you and Soy Pill's hog and Hutch and Soy Pill's ass. I mean, we have some major HR complaints, which is another reason you're leaving.
And he said it to a female co-host too.
Dad penis? Like whose cock is Hutch's dad looking at? Was it Hutch's cock or?
Wait, it was a joke. Hutch said a joke about his penis. But anyway,
right.
I want to say to Jessiah,
yeah.
I've said multiple times over the course of our collaboration, Live and Learn, I kind of view you as a mentor in this space. I really enjoyed, all the time that you've given to Live and Learn, even when it's tough for your schedule. You work like really crazy. But yeah, I just want to say I super appreciate that. I don't suspect that this will be the last of your collaborations with us. I'm sure you'll hop on stream a bunch. And so, yeah, just best of luck and thanks again for, this whole thing was your idea initially. And so appreciate you.
Yeah.
Let me jump in and also say that I don't exactly remember. I think I met you because of a WIC panel you jumped on afterwards. I'm not sure how we started hanging out with each other, but you quickly became like one of my favorite people in the space. And, we chat offline constantly. And, so I value you as a friend and as like a veteran who's been doing this shit for like a really long time. You have to protect your mental. And so, I reached out to you and I was like, "Is this about the drama?" And you said it was about time. And so like, if it's about that, then I fully support it, but you will be missed. And I appreciate the conversations we've had. And I think you contribute a lot to this dynamic. And so
I appreciate it. And I do want to underscore that before obviously IRI and Soy Pill give their very passionate speeches that I'm sure they prepared. And I expect it to be fucking powerful, gentlemen. I will say, one of the things that I try to do in this space, coming from like a real normie background is, like my introduction to it was obviously through DGG and the canvassing stuff and whatever. And there's so much of the lore about streaming in general and about specific streamers that I didn't get. And so even though I tried to be friendly with everybody, I did not consider everybody that I met friends per se. They were work buddies for the most part. But the difference is, so I can say this especially with Pisco and Hutch, I think with IRI and Soy Pill too, especially IRI when we were at the DNC together, to me, the measure of a friend is will you talk about shit besides work? And obviously work for us is politics, streaming, content creation. And, Pisco, I hung out with Pisco when I took my wife to New York City. He met my wife. They hit it off. We went to not a Hornets
Sex
game.
in the City.
Liberty. Well, hang on. We had the Liberty game, and then before that, we went on the Sex in the City tour. We drank Cosmopolitans like Carrie and Miranda and everybody else. Hutch and I have had conversations where he's given me advice, like even about like the doxing thing, for example. Like he because he's had experience with this shit. Like I was really freaking out about my wife. He called me and talked me down from the ledge and stuff like that. IRI and I have had conversations ranging from, what he did before politics all the way to his skincare routine, because this guy's in his fucking 40s and he looks half that age, right?
And he's shaved and he looks better. He looks even like younger now.
Yeah, it's insane. And then Soy Pill and I recently we've just now connected. He's the most recent connection I've made. But like we text off and on and shit like that. And so I do consider all of you friends, not just work buddies. And so I the same thing with the Econo Boy too. We still hear from him. So yeah.
Well, I'll just say it's unfortunate won't get to hang out with you because I was excited to get to chill with you every week. But we had a blast at the DNC, and I know I can hit you up anytime, and you're not going anywhere. You'll be around. And listen, I want to say to you, Jessiah, if you choose to take Mondays and do jack shit, sit on your ass, you have my support, buddy. Please don't feel any pressure to do anything. If you want to be in the comments, the whole podcast, hanging out, you do whatever the hell you want, buddy, because it's your life and we support you no matter what you do.
I appreciate it, bro. I really do. All right, Soy Pill, go ahead. Yeah, knock it out of the
Yeah,
park.
I mean, on my end, it's been so quick. It feels like when you join a new job and your boss quits 3 weeks in, and they're like, "Thanks for taking my spot, idiot." Like I'm out of here. But no, in all honesty, like you did feel like the dad of the podcast. I really did appreciate your energy and like the control that you had over it. And you know, I mean, it's not like it didn't run when you were gone, but I missed that, you know, like that presence of like, all right, you're doing it right now. You're in between Hutch and Pisco, and you're like, guys, stop. So we got big shoes to fill, and I'm going to do my best to fill them. And I really appreciate everything you did and having me on. And I know you're not going anywhere. You're still in the space. If you were leaving politics, I would come to your house and slap you. But you're just leaving a podcast, and that's fine. So
yeah, no, 100%. Like, yeah, at this point, I really do like, you know, all the stuff we talk about the rise of fascism or whatever. And like, I'm sure as we're going to get into for the remainder of the pod, like shit's getting worse. And so again, you know, I understand why Econoboy did what he did. I understand his many reasons for doing so. I'm not prepared to make those decisions. You know, this is truly my job and everything else. But I really think shit has already hit the fan. I think it's going to hit the fan even more. And we're not even, I guess today we are officially 9 months into the Trump administration because he was inaugurated on January 20th. Like, and it feels like 9 fucking years. So with that in mind, let's dedicate the rest of the time to politics itself. What about the No Kings protest? Can we start there? First off, I don't know, and if any of you want to say that you did or didn't, I did go to mine here in Charlotte. Did anybody else participate in a No Kings protest in person?
Yep. I wasn't able to, but I did in a little way.
You did?
Because one of the band members wore a No King shirt. One of the
You're kidding me.
Yeah, and I was stoked. I was like, bro, that's huge because that took planning and it made the whole band seem like they were, you know, for the protest. So I thought that was cool. And I was on stage with them while he was wearing that. So, okay, a little
that's
part,
awesome.
I guess.
I mean, that got outreach, right? And
I went to the one in San Diego, and this isn't like a doomer thing, but I remember why I don't go to some of these protests because they're so unorganized sometimes. I wish this is what it should be. It should just be everyone goes out with their signs, marches, shows their face and all that. But they had this like thing where they were, you know, like having different speakers speak, and the audio wasn't very good. And it was a bunch of people like, you know, all right, here's the 7 minutes of like, Native American tribe music to honor the fact that we're on stolen land. And I'm like, guys, come on, can we just do the quick, like, let's hate Trump, let's do it, and let's go home. And also, it's the same as the first No King. So as much as I'm happy that everyone went out and support and showed like, hey, we're not okay with this. Man, Democrats, it's organized better. Come on.
Can I tell you something too? You mentioned the speeches. And so I don't know if any of you had this thought, but I know I did. I deliberately timed it so that I was getting there when the speeches were wrapping up, not because they weren't important, but I'll be honest with you, the Charlie Kirk thing still kind of fucks with me. And this being an outdoor, like it was an outdoor event, and yes, police were there, but it's not like they were standing behind plexiglass or whatever. And so, like, you know, the speakers there, in my opinion, took a risk. I was actually quite frankly surprised because I guess in LA, Brian Tyler Cohen actually spoke on stage too. And I'm thinking to myself, like, people are bold to do that in this day and age. And given how much in advance, which I'd also like us to talk about, MAGA Republicans from Trump to Mike Johnson, everyone in between, were calling it fucking hate America rallies, right? Like, if you want to prime people to take literal or metaphorical shots at No Kings, that would be the rhetoric you use.
Well, I was going to say one positive thing, the amount of American flags I saw there, which is really good optics, because the people were there like, I love this country, not I hate America. I love this country and I want it to not be ruled by a dictator. I will say that was very nice. But I don't know. I'm on the IRI train on this one now, Josiah. I don't think anyone cares about Charlie Kirk anymore. So I think you are overly worrying. In fact, Charlie who? What happened?
No, I don't. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
You have to live your life like you can't just it's like the terrorism thing. You can't let it affect how you're gonna do your day to day. I will say one thing. I want to take a shot at Ryan Mullally and these other people who are like, "Hey guys, congratulations! It appears there's no more kings." Who are like deliberately misunderstanding the purpose of like the No Kings March. It isn't presupposing that we currently have a king. It isn't saying that we are in a state where like there's an actual monarch. It's calling out obviously the authoritarian tendencies that resemble what a king might do in Trump. And so I just find it incredibly fucking annoying when I see all like, oh guys, we don't have any kings anymore. It's like, dude, can you stop being Amelia Bedelia about the fucking name of this protest?
They're just being purposefully obtuse, I think. Like well, he was duly elected, and there was a peaceful transfer of power, and it's like, okay, well, there's a lot of stuff that happened in between and after that, but you just want to focus on the process of him being elected. I suppose it's
and it's Biden to thank for the fucking peaceful transfer of powers, precisely because Democrats were doing the transfer, that there was a peace. I remember, I don't know if you guys caught this, but the Free Press, which now apparently controls CBS, before the election, a couple of days, Barry Weiss moderated a debate between Ben Shapiro and Sam Harris, and it was interesting. I mean, it was a really good one. Harris cleaned Ben's clock, and it was about Kamala and Trump, and Sam Harris said, he goes, the thing is, Ben, and he put together this really interesting thought experiment. He goes, we don't know how the election's going to go, but he goes, I just want you just to take this sentence and tell me, based on this sentence, who probably won. On January 6th, that there is a peaceful transfer of power with no protest. In that situation, who probably won? And even Shapiro was forced to admit that, okay, in that hypothetical where we don't know who won, we can infer it was probably Trump who won, because if the opposite occurred, there would be all kinds of shit going down. So it's funny for me that they're trying to take credit for that.
Sam Harris is like a really extreme example of a mixed bag, because sometimes he really does come out with these brilliant arguments. Mm-hmm. And then there's other times where he comes out with like an op-ed blaming like trans issues for Kamala's loss. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I just want to say, I was going to say, I would have wrote the article, like, should we preemptively nuclear bomb a country in the Middle East?
It sounds like something he might have written, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Aria. Sorry.
I was going to say, I would have gone to a No Kings protest, but I was busy with the festival all weekend. That being said, Hutch and I went to the first one, and we had a blast, and we had American flags, and I was also happy to see all the flags. I think people made a point of bringing flags because, patriotism goes both ways, and I do think the left needs to step it up with overt displays of patriotism, because people think we're not patriotic. I guess you have to show people nowadays. But the thing I was impressed by was the numbers, 7 million plus, and I actually thought there'd be less people coming out for No Kings 2. Right. But I think what happened to me. When Trump was first elected, I saw the Women's March, and I didn't even know it was happening. I wasn't that into politics, and I was like, holy shit, 1 million people came out. I'm going to the next one. And then the travel ban came, and there were protests, so I went out. So I think people saw the No Kings protest and then said, okay, I'm going to the next big thing. And, we've had protests in LA, DC, Chicago, but this was the first nationwide everybody come out. So it was cool to see so many people pissed off.
It's really, I think, really important for people to go to at least like one protest, especially in the era of Trump, because even though we're not really expecting to extract any kind of policy concessions from the administration or the Republican Party, what it does is it reminds you of how connected you are to other people that share your contempt, your frustration, your anger. And that can go a long way into sustaining energy going into like special elections and midterm elections. It sends a powerful message to the administration that no matter how much they want to pretend like he has this mandate from heaven and he's this beloved president with like 80% approval ratings, when you have the largest, well, I guess second largest, because Earth Day in the 70s was like 20 million people or something like that. But, when you have this many people that are demonstrating, it just sends a clear message to your fellow countrymen, but also other people in other countries as well who take inspiration from American activism. And, this stuff really matters. And so it is performative, but it can go a long way to help fight the black pill right now.
Well, it matters because before.
Hey, your audio.
Your mic just went way down for some reason.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Oh yeah. Better.
Whoa! Don't go too loud.
Why is it doing? Something's going on with my audio and my settings. Hang on one second. You guys keep talking. I'll figure it out.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, Hutch, you're totally right that it's like this sends a message, because if it didn't, Trump wouldn't post an AI video saying, look, me shitting all over these people. Like, this clearly bothers him to some extent, and is the most tangible look. There's millions of people out in the streets saying, I hate you. I think that means a lot.
Like, why are they posting like insane amounts of misinformation about the size of the protests? Like, did you guys see the photo from Boston? Like, hella, like dozens of tweet. Dozens of like big, right-wing accounts got crazy amounts of engagement.
Congress people, Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz posted it, and it's just complete. Like, first of all, this is not something that's even superficially plausible. Like, it's just to remind you that when we're talking about MAGA enthusiasts, these people are just simply just like not very bright. The idea that MSNBC would fake a live feed, something that would be so easily disprovable, and in their minds that's plausible. We're dealing with people that ate a lot of lead or whatever, I don't know, but they're like cognitively limited. But the point is like they wouldn't be doing that if the size of the crowds didn't bother them. The only reason they're doing that is to try to dispel the idea that a lot of people were protesting.
And you saw the other attacks, right? They're like, look at all these old people. Look at this retirement home.
Right.
It's like, hey, who do you think fucking votes, idiot? Like,
exactly. Yeah, I love seeing.
I want you to imagine that it was. Imagine that the protests are mostly. Why is it doing this? Imagine that the protests are mostly non-white. Imagine how they would have responded then, right?
Yeah.
They would have said it's not white enough. It's this is these are Soros-funded, Soros-backed minorities. We need more of white representation. So it's like no matter what you do, they're just going to bitch about it. And I guess that's my point is, as I try to figure out this audio setting, that's how we know this was a big deal. Because if it were me, I would have to think, okay, after No Kings, if I really wanted to try to undermine the impact of it, I wouldn't fucking talk about it the day after. Every time that they had, like Mike Johnson had his charts and all this other shit, and like you are keeping No Kings in the news by having such an absurd reaction to it.
You just made your little wine mom point, which is, what if January 6th were a bunch of Muslims? You would have shot them all. You're saying that if they were all black people, MAGA would have done what exactly?
I said if they were all black, that they would have bitched it wasn't white enough. Like what I'm saying is they prefer a bunch of white people, right? Like they tend to be associated with white nationalism and white supremacism, and their complaint is it was too white. If it were too brown, they would have bitched about that.
Yeah.
Josiah, in your audio settings, do you have the
automatic gain?
Yeah, automatic gain.
No,
control?
like it was fine until I don't know what happened between like now and the past like 2 minutes.
Maybe try turning it on, because like I have it turned on.
Is your big hog resting on the dial? Move it over, dude.
Let's see here. All right, keep going while I figure this shit out.
Yeah, no, but I think the protests are a good sign. I'm glad it was mostly peaceful. I'm glad that the Prop 50. I forget where that was that they in California they did that. The big like vote yes on Prop 50 made of human bodies. I thought that was really cool too, and I thought Gavin Newsom has been pretty base this week.
But didn't that demonstrate to you that it was an organized, paid-for protest? They wouldn't have spontaneously formed the words "Yes" on Prop 50. And I don't know if you saw this, Pisco, a very large piece of paper that no one person could ever afford. So this is clearly a funded thing. I myself did receive a Soros check in the mail to go. So
yeah, it was organized. That's insane, by the way, that like we would have organized protest. And by the way, folks, for those of you who are trying to, attend these rallies, I would encourage you for sure to like not, because I have some people in my chat, and I don't feel like I need to say there's a lot of people in my chat, but like, don't fight with police and don't get violent and stuff. I think it looks bad, and I think the contrast
that
that we
happen?
saw. No, I'm just saying in the future, like I have some people who are like LARPing sometimes, who like come on my stream and like, we need to do more. We can't just be like, I think you need to fully try peaceful protest and stop doing this LARPing about like we need to gun up and we need to like enforce the Second Amendment or whatever. Because I saw that even recently I was talking about the military troop deployments and like when are liberals going to start exercising their Second Amendment rights? And I just this is I think how it should be done.
I was going to say
like Graham Plattner from like 5 years ago or something.
Oh, what did he say?
Similar stuff. Pretty much
fuck.
that. Like he said something about like, yeah. We're gonna
did he say he was a communist? Was there like a Reddit comment attributed to him where he said he was a communist?
He did, but he did say something like,
he has a
we
podcast
got to think about like guns or whatever. But like on that topic though, I felt like he did a fucking phenomenal job of owning that. Like I just feel like we're gonna have more and more candidates who have been super online, like Gen X and younger. Like these are going to be people that have like a larger footprint when it comes to their social media feeds. And
so do you feel comfortable running for office now? I know that was for the longest time, Hutch. Wait a minute. For the longest time, that was one of the things you would say. Well, like, listen, I've said some shit and I've done some shit. Like, hey,
I don't want to be a politician, man. I don't want to wake up early and go to meetings all day. Fuck that.
Are you kidding me? They're on a fucking.
I have so much freedom in my life.
They're on vacation right now. What are you talking about? The government's shut down. They're not doing shit.
No, but seriously though, what he did though, I mean, I'm sure you guys probably agree. Like that's I don't know if I feel like he's probably fucked in Maine, to be honest with you. I don't know if he can weather that
primary or in the general.
In the primary, yeah. I don't.
It's one of those things where they learned the Teflon Don strategy, which is like, if it's really not that bad, just don't apologize. It's not worth it. Just say, "Yep, that's who I am, and this is who I am now," and you can still vote for me.
Teflon Don. Teflon Don is even when it's really, really incredibly bad. Don't apologize for it.
Yeah, but I mean, at least a step in the right direction, and not like, oh, you did like a kind of off-color joke. Now step down and abdicate all power, which is like, we can't be doing that anymore.
The Trump strat of saying, doubling and tripling down works for his base of lunatics, but like a left-wing base is going to be totally different, and so you can't really get away with that necessarily.
Well, depends on how bad it is.
What about the guy in Virginia? People are like, we
Jones?
shouldn't support him. We shouldn't support him. It's like, fuck you. He's our candidate. We're gonna support him.
I mean,
I'm not denouncing that guy at all. I don't give a shit what he said. He's I would candidate.
He was texting IRI when those texts leaked. That was IRI was on the other.
Fuck them kids.
Oh my God,
Jesus!
I'm kidding. I'm just saying. He said sorry. He was a private citizen. He's our candidate. We got to defend these guys, man. I'm tired of this shit. What are we gonna lose? Oh well, he said something 3 years ago. We're gonna give seed control for 4 years to the Republicans off some text messages. Nah.
For me, it's kind of like similar to the response to the Charlie Kirk stuff, where it's like you condemn the statement. I think it's a bad statement, and I think it should not have been said. But if the choice is between a MAGA Republican and a Democrat, to me, it's not going to be moving the needle sufficient for me to vote for a MAGA Republican. That's crazy. Now, if I had reason to believe that he actually killed someone, or that he was going to institute a policy that was going to kill people, or anything like that, I mean, yeah, that might be different. But like, I don't want to hear from MAGA Republicans, there's some moral stance that anytime your candidate says something fucking abhorrent, you can't vote for them.
Yeah, because there'd be no MAGA candidate left. I mean, well, that's an interesting segue too, because IRI talks about, whether or not we should disavow or denounce Jay Jones. So I don't know if you all caught it. I'm sure some of you did. Did you guys see Adam Mockler's a News Nation town hall appearance where he just fucking humiliated Charlie Kirk's producer sidekick?
It was embarrassing.
Yeah, and that thing, that particular topic was one of many that came up, and Mockler, without hesitation, because Colvett went for the gotcha. He's like, "What about the Virginia Attorney General?" He's like, "Yeah, I condemn it." Well, do other Democrats condemn it?
But it's okay to condemn it, but we shouldn't abandon support for the candidate. It's like, yeah, that was stupid. He apologized. I wouldn't support that, but he's still my candidate. Are you kidding me? It's even better that he apologized. I support him even more now.
It would be my preference if he had stepped down, I think, but if he was on
it's too late.
I mean, I could be persuaded into. Oh, is it too late? Is it literally too late?
Its election is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know. I didn't love those text messages. Those were awful. I would definitely still vote for him and encourage other people to vote for him. But so it wasn't great.
But like you said, everybody's going to be able to dig up something about somebody as time goes on, especially now that these younger candidates.
I don't know, man. He was talking about like how like the guy's kids needed to be taken care of. That's a bit much.
He's saying something horrible.
It's an eclectic platform.
And it shouldn't have been said, and it's fucked up for sure.
It was private.
It was private, but that
does that make any difference, Pisco?
So were the Republican texts.
Who hasn't said some heinous locker room things?
Okay, hold on.
I feel like that makes it worse, right? Because like the guy gave him an opportunity to clarify.
Let IRI make his case. Let him make his case.
All right. Let me piss off people. All right. Let me piss off the audience. So one-on-one, you say certain things is the same as like a group chat with like 20, 30 people.
I don't know if it's the same. I don't think they're the same thing, but I mean, I would say that they're private group chats between a select group of people. And I'm not really going to make a categorical distinction there. If it were generally accessible, perhaps I might think differently about that. or if anyone could reasonably get it. But this was like a purposeful leak of people who they didn't expect that this would be available to
I don't know. I'm smelling some hypocrisy here with the Republican leaks. It's like, look, this is an indication of what they believe outside of their private conversations, and I can see how that might reflect poorly. Now, it is too late for him to step down. It's like, okay, at this point, like, yeah, maybe he should apologize, or if he could be replaced. But like, I think this matters in terms of like, looking at their character, but it depends on who your opponent is. And I go out and I say, look, I actually respect the MAGA Republicans if they would just say, look, I want Trump policy more. I don't give a shit that he did Epstein stuff because that doesn't reflect on the policies he's going to pass that I want. If they just said that, they won't because they're like the anti-Epstein crowd. But like, yeah, the personal stuff, as if it doesn't reflect on the policies you wanted to pass, I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter to me nearly as much.
I'll also. I'm sorry. I gotta throw this in here. I'm sorry because like I don't know. You guys say it's too late, but I think that we have the ultimate relief pitcher when a candidate has to step down late in the game. Kamala Harris for Virginia Attorney General.
Book 14 days.
I thought you said president.
That's the sequel. Instead of 107 days, it's 14 days. Yeah, I'm sorry.
All this is happening also at a time where the right is kind of having their own, should we disavow the extremist moment right now? And you have people like Matt Walsh and other extremely mainstream Republicans that are just straight up saying, yes, we should allow Nazis into the coalition. I don't know if you guys saw any of that discourse, but they're talking about that right now. And a lot of people on the right like are in agreement with him that they are fine with Nick Fuentes types and literal white supremacists.
Guys, did you not see Megyn Kelly's fucking tweet at Tim Miller like 3 weeks ago?
What did she say?
One of the most mask off, unhinged shit I've ever seen. It was when the Tom Homan allegations came out about the $50,000 in the Kava bag.
Oh yeah,
she's like, I don't care what anyone on the right does because look at all my grievances with the left. That whole tirade, essentially.
Bro, fucking.
I don't care if you take a bribe or something, right?
It's a really interesting conversation to listen to about this is a conversation that Ezra Klein had with this. It's like the leader of like national conservatism. He wrote a book on like a new kind of resurgent nationalism. J.D. Vance invoked him in a speech. And I don't remember when this interview was from, but it's like an hour and a half. And the guy just very kind of clearly lays out their logic. And, at the end of the day, like very simply, they straight up fully believe that, the left, like the entire left, are like an existential threat to their way of life. And as such, you get people like Matt Walsh who says that he's just willing to team up with Nazis, like literal Nazis.
Well, you got to understand, Hutch, is they live in a different reality. Like we said, we were talking about, they view the Biden stuff as 100 times worse than the president literally saying, I'm shitting on these protesters. And I think Matt Walsh just had a take where he was like, it's more of a crime to say the N-word than it is for you to kill a white person. Like that's the reality he lives in, where he believes that like saying a slur is more like publicly, admonished or whatever. So like they are just like completely out of touch and psychotic and delusional at this point. So,
well, let me ask you, IRI, are you still doing your MAGA debates on TikTok?
Absolutely.
You doing them every day?
Yep.
Have you had any since the No Kings protest and Trump posting that fucking video?
I didn't go live this morning. I got in too late last night.
Oh shit! You're out partying with the Offspring?
No, I flew in.
Oh, gotcha.
No.
Well, I'm curious. Like, what do you expect? And obviously, you don't know. But do you think? I'm sure it'll come up because I'm sure you'll bring it up. Do you think it's going to move the needle on any of them? Like, the thing, the reason that I guess I want to circle back on the AI video is, I mean, obviously, when you think about all the unhinged shit that Trump has said and done, but like, he wasn't just shitting. Like I even took a bit of a quibble with Harry Sisson's response to it because it would still be bad if he were just shitting on Harry Sisson, given that Harry Sisson is a U.S. citizen and a constituent. But he wasn't just shitting on Harry; he was shitting on fucking New York City, right? And so the fucking city that Trump was either born in or at least lived most of his life in, and so. I'm just curious, if you think MAGA will defend that in your debates or calls, or if they're like, no, he shouldn't have said that, but I support him no matter what. Like, how do you think they'll react to it?
No way. They'll support it. They thought it was hilarious. I don't even have to talk to them to know that. The only thing they care about is the Epstein files. That's the only thing that gives them pause and grief is the Epstein files. I can get them on little things here or there, but the Epstein files is, oof, they're pissed.
Okay.
Jessiah, you got to understand is, yes, it is obviously divisive. They might acknowledge that at best, but they think it's hilarious. And like I said, they're so caught up in their like delusional grievances that anything that he does now is justified because of anything that's happened in the past. Like you listen to when we're talking about Ezra Klein, there was the Ezra Klein Ben Shapiro thing, and Ben Shapiro goes off about like, I think the turning point of like, when all of this went bad and all the right was incited was when Obama said that Trayvon Martin's would have looked like his son or something. And it's like that was the thing that divided America. That was the thing that ruined the left-right, bridge, not Donald Trump and every fucking insane thing he does. Like they just take whatever small little thing and they amplify it against, because they're these insecure, everything is 10 times worse.
Yeah, fuck Shapiro. I'll be honest with you. I was so, once I saw that clip, that debate or the conversation was in my feed, I was so hyped for it. But I'll be honest with you. I mean, it's not like Ezra didn't push back at all, but he did treat Shapiro with kid gloves. And just hearing Shapiro, because he doubles down on this, like that Obama was really the catalyst for all of this, and anything that Trump did, pales in comparison to what Obama did, is really excused by like the amount of time I hear Republicans blame Trump on Obama, like they have no fucking agency, is really annoying. And I'm trying to think, somebody brought this up in a high profile. Oh, it was Crystal Ball and Sagar and Jetty recently on Breaking Points. They had two recent arguments, and that was one of the points. Say what?
Your new best friends.
Well,
that's
certainly not Sagar. Certainly not Sagar. Certainly not Sagar. Yes, when Crystal said you have to choose between me or Hutch, I'm like, well, that's a tough one. It was close, Hutch. But, she brought that up. She's like, look, Republicans have fucking agency. You can't just keep blaming, because he said, listen, sure, Trump, I agree with you. Trump is engaging in authoritarian shit now. He's abusing his power now and all these things. But he's like, you don't think that's what Democrats are going to do to Republicans when they get back in power? And and again, Crystal, who has, certainly not been as effective, I think, as Kyle in defending the Democrats and the Biden administration when they succeed. She's like, no, like Democrats never did this under Joe Biden. Why the fuck do you think that they would match Republicans in terms of a tit for tat there? And so it's just this projection where Republicans get a blank check. They have no agency. They're just responding. It's really fucking annoying. And Sitch and Adam actually, I think, helped pioneer that notion too. Yeah. In a debate with Crystal and Kyle. That's how they first came to my attention. They were on Crystal, Kyle, and Friends, and they were debating wokeness and like the excesses of the right versus the excesses of the left. And they said the excesses of the right suck, but it's because of the left. And I think they even said something similar in a conversation they recently had with Soy Pill.
Yeah, the truth of it is that the excesses of the right come from what they perceive are the excesses of the left. The difference is the excesses of the left are innocuous and not that big of a deal, and they thought it was the end of civilization, so they retaliate with what we're seeing now. So it is because of that, only insofar as their reaction to it is completely overblown.
But do the excesses of the left, can we blame those on previous excesses of the right? Does that work?
Yeah,
that way?
I think the trans movement as it exists today is because of the anti-civil rights people in the 1960s.
Like,
I would directly tie those two.
Like, why can't we just say the same shit? I don't know. I get off my soapbox.
There are problems with the excesses of the left, but the issue is that the right their whole project is about trying to make it seem as though the entire Democratic, like these people are representative of like the median Democratic voter, and it's just so divorced from reality. Like we do have fringes that engage in destructive rhetoric and do really stupid things, but they represent such a tiny fraction of our coalition, and you just can't really convince MAGA people otherwise. Like they legitimately think all of us want to fucking mutilate kids out of some sadistic fetish or something like that.
Well, it's like with the No Kings protest, there's a video on New York Post front page of a woman going like this to some guy. And they're like, see, that's the left. That's everybody at the crowd. They were all just gesticulating that Charlie Kirk got shot in the neck and you're next. And so, they put this slop out there. And that's how they paint us with, like, I keep calling it a comically large, like, paintbrush that you would buy on Amazon, So of course
that actually offended me. I saw that because I was like, my Charlie Kirk jokes are way funnier than that, and I'm kind of upset that that's the one that gets
Charlie
boosted.
Kirk jokes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What kind of jokes? Like, just like you're making fun of the fact that he died? Weren't you the one woke scolding us about condemning it?
No, he said that jokes were okay, but not like not celebrating it is what I think.
Got it.
Yeah. Oh, hold on, wait! I didn't even say celebrating it was wrong. I said, well, maybe I did, but let me correct because I'm writing my script for the video now, and I want to say firmly, if you're happy that someone you don't like is gone, that's fine. But what you shouldn't be celebrating is the political violence, which has horrible downstream effects, gets us nowhere, and incites people. Although, like we've seen,
so you're going to celebrate when Trump dies? I just wanted to get you.
Oh, absolutely! I'll be happy when he dies. I just don't want him to die from political violence.
That bro, the day he kicks the bucket of natural causes, of course.
That 4 weeks ago, do you guys remember when everyone like was memeing that he was dead? That night I could not sleep. I was like, guys, whatever plans I have Saturday, I gotta go home and stream when this happens. If he died of something,
I believe that.
I thought it might happen.
It's gonna be like when they declared Biden the winner in 2020 and everybody went outside and started partying. Like it's gonna be like that when it happens, 100%. And it's just gonna fucking kick off a shitstorm of discourse that's gonna last weeks. But whatever.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, you mean when he went for his second annual appointment at Walter Reed? Is that what you're talking about? When he was?
Yeah. Should we talk about the VRA stuff? I have some questions for Pisco. I want you to like break it down.
Yeah, I haven't briefed the arguments yet. I can give you at a high level. They're dealing with whether like race-based districting, which is allowed for under certain circumstances, or where you're allowed to take race into consideration as part of your gerrymandering, as part of your districting, to alleviate right past discrimination and those kinds of like after effects of segregation and slavery. Those were key components of the Voting Rights Act, and now they're considering whether to get rid of them. That's at a high level. I haven't refreshed my recollection of the legal arguments, but I will say legal commentators looking at it seem to be not necessarily overwhelmingly predicting that the VRA section is going to be undone by the court, but I think it's a decent possibility.
Well,
can I just say real quick
yeah.
before you said, just I want to throw this out here. This is made especially ironic because, again, Bisco, you correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure was it 2013, the Holder v. Shelby County case, or
2013? Yep.
Yeah. I'm pretty
that's
sure
the pre-clearing provision.
Right. I'm pretty sure the rationale that Roberts had in the majority opinion, basically stripping pre-clearance, is, hey, you've got Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, so you don't need pre-clearance.
Yeah, well, it's the same kind of shit that they talk out of both sides of their mouth, where they pretend that they're leaving open this area where, we'll protect the Federal Reserve from unjust removals by the president, or you can still get a former president for bribery. You just can't bring up the fact of what the official act they did. So it's always this kind of
you can bring up the
game.
quid and the pro, but the quid and the quo, but not the pro or whatever.
Yeah, you can't show that it was because of that. So all of that is me suggesting that the Supreme Court really does seem to be engaged in this shell game where they're just trying to give Trump a win, and there's not kind of a disciplined, analytical reasoning for all their different decisions that it makes any kind of sense. And so you should expect more bullshit to come out of the Supreme Court. And another one is going to be this military deployment shit. Expect a lot of bullshittery at the Supreme Court when that gets appealed.
So sorry, go ahead now.
Well, I don't know what the other conservatives' arguments were, but I watched a video, I think from Majority Report, where they were talking about maybe Kavanaugh's line of logic that he was using. And I think his argument was that it was fine for the Voting Rights Act to be passed at the time to address, real like demonstrable racial disparities in electoral process or whatever. But there necessarily has to be an end date to that, and I guess he's positing that we're there. Like
this is from like O'Connor. Same with affirmative action, right? Like like, look, black people are equal now. What are you complaining about? Like, and they kind of just got rid of it and said it can't be indefinite, which it shouldn't be, but like clearly not recognizing the reality of like this still might have a place in certain cases.
That might be
racial
the reason.
Discrimination. I'll just say racial discrimination is, especially for like formalized racial discrimination, when you're making classifications based on race, which is what this is about, right? Like this is what we're talking about, are typically governed under the highest level of constitutional scrutiny. And there are very few compelling purposes that will justify strict scrutiny of this kind of racial discrimination. For the longest time, diversity was considered like one of those factors potentially that the court got rid of that. And there have been other intimations by the Supreme Court, particularly by Justice O'Connor, that maybe sort of past discrimination or rectifying previous discrimination, that's a compelling purpose, but it's necessarily time limited. Kavanaugh was a swing vote on a recent other case regarding the Voting Rights Act. So the fact that he's signaling that there has to be an endpoint, to me, suggests that we're in danger.
Yeah, we're going to have Laksha on next week, who is more qualified to get into the weeds about what that actually means in terms of how many seats could this possibly net for Republicans. But me and Jessiah got into it a little bit this week about what the Democrats should do.
That's why I'm leaving, remember? That's why I'm
moving
quitting.
forward. It's actually fractured this entire podcast.
It is. It shattered everything. Fuck you. We're not friends anymore. Lose my number. Yeah. Glad we.
No,
but I'm just going ahead and addressing it now. Fuck.
But I want to hear what my podcast co-host thinks. So, what should the Democrats do moving forward? Should they run on expanding the court more specifically?
Yes. In my opinion, yeah. I think that I agree with what I take to be Jesiah's basic outlook, which is you need leadership if you want to see changes in public opinion, and if this thing is a necessary precondition to preserving our country and also achieving good results, you need to somehow effectuate the thing that it is you want, right? The thing that we want is to have a more balanced court. The thing we want is to have a court that isn't as politicized. And in order to achieve that end and to rectify the past court packing that was done under the Trump administration, you need to do something. And I can't think of anything better than trying to convince people that that's the right thing to do.
I just want to give a point of clarification. That was actually Hutch's position. My position was not that. I do not support court expansion. It's Hutch who believes in court expansion. Hutch, it's time. We don't want to bury the lead here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No. Obviously. Yeah. I'm sorry.
We can get into it more, but let's hear.
All right. What was your position?
I don't know. Are you saying pack the court in response to the VRA being gutted? Basically, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would be more like anti-gerrymandering. We should probably get into that as well, because I think there's a unique opportunity, because if they really do steal 25 seats, then I feel like the Democrats could push a national discussion about just banning partisan gerrymandering. But we're more talking about should the next Democratic candidate in 2028 run on, I want to expand the court, so help me get a Congress to deliver on that.
Yeah, I think they should. Sorry, IRI's responding on that.
Go ahead. I'm curious, Pisco, what you think, and I'll respond.
Well, I just want to say, this has been my position since the Merrick Garland fiasco, that they needed to respond to the Republican court packing. And so none of it's all been bolstered, I think, by recent baseless decisions by the Supreme Court. But people don't really internalize the extent of the Republican court packing in that era. And they don't really feel that it is court packing, even though it very obviously, in my opinion, is. So that's yes, the VRA stuff, the Trump versus United States, the CASA decision, every other bullshittery that's coming out of the Supreme Court is contributing to that argument. But this has been my long-standing position going back as far as Obama's term.
Yeah. Well, could I clarify? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ira.
Well, I'll just say I don't know if court packing is going to solve the problem. I think term limits is more of a permanent solution. Obviously, it'd take constitutional amendment, and you could change the number of justices just through a congressional act. So I understand why the interest is there, but I'm not sure it's going to solve the problem. I guess I think Trump's going to do crazier and crazier things as time goes on that perhaps could lead to some other solutions that we aren't really thinking of right now. But I think this is just the beginning. So I also am very curious to see what the outcome is if they do gerrymander a lot more of these seats. They may not win them, like in Texas. They're banking on Hispanics to continue to vote for conservatives. And there's a lot of polls showing Hispanics are moving back to the left, disappointed in Trump's actions.
My position on it is, even if I kind of agree with you, I don't know if the packing itself would solve the problem, but I think running on it is going to be incredibly good messaging, because it's hey, we are absolutely doing something about this bullshit. You're watching and hearing all this reporting of, hey, yeah, they're ignoring this and they're subverting this law and they're going around this, check and balance. And it's hey, let's do something about it. And if the only messaging from Democrats is well, we'll just stop them by doing what we've been doing for the past 10 years. I know that's not exactly what they're saying, but some people do perceive that as, kind of a non-solution, where it's well, Gavin Newsom's able to redistrict, and the way that they're doing it in Texas, that seems like fighting fire with fire. If you're going to let them get away with stealing a whole Supreme Court seat like they did in 2016, then what are you going to do? Like, if they do that again, like, are you going to steal a Supreme Court seat? Are you going to pack the court? Like, what are you going to do? And if there isn't a solution to that, I know a lot of Democrats aren't. I don't think it's going to be the reason we win or lose, but I think it's good messaging to at least have that out there and say, yeah, we're going to at least try to do slightly less slimy versions of fighting back against this.
We have a super chat here on this topic. It's a thing Democrats should be willing to do, but campaigning on it is a different question. Are voters motivated to vote for a Democrat over this issue, or is it more like 2016 where they didn't? Which I think kind of speaks to some of Hutch's reticence to make this an issue. So, Hutch, if you want to take that particular super chat, because I think not that it totally encapsulates your views, but I think it touches on the efficacy of using this as a campaign issue, which is something you take issue with.
Yeah, it's just a matter of tactics and strategy. In principle, I support expanding the court just because of what happened. I principally believe that the courts should be, whatever is decided in terms of like what justices are seated, it should be more democratic. Like, I don't know about like putting it to voters instead. I don't know if that's the right solution. I know, to IRI's point, if you start doing term limits and then each president, they get to like nominate whatever, like 2 or 1, whatever the number is, then I think that that's more democratic. And what has happened has been substantially less democratic for them to basically steal a seat and then, pack it so now they have an effective supermajority. The problem is that, in a nutshell, it's just not a popular thing. It's just not. When you look at the breadth of like polls that are out there, they very clearly show a public that is extremely skeptical when it comes to packing the court. It's the support for it is usually like around like 35%. And generally speaking, in politics, I don't think it's a good idea to run on really unpopular things. And I have serious doubts that the Democratic Party is going to be able to go out there and like change a lot of minds. That's just kind of not really how politics works in practice. It's something that I think
not with these Democrats.
Well, no, it just doesn't.
If we're going off of like the ability of Democrats to convince people of stuff, then I guess, we should never be ambitious because they're just not capable right now.
Well, I looked it up real quick, Hutch, and packing the court, I couldn't find off the first 5 seconds, but putting term limits and retirement ages for Supreme Courts has like an 82%.
Yeah, reforms are
approval. So at the very least, people want something to be done.
Reforms are a slam dunk. But to Pisco's point, you say, well, it's because the current Democratic Party is just not equipped to go out there and change people's minds. I'm saying there is no precedent for what we're talking about. There's no such thing as like a political party.
Sorry. What do you mean by that? There's no precedent.
This idea that if you have an extremely unpopular position, that political parties can go out there and just easily flip public opinion in this way. It's just not something that we see throughout history.
I don't know if easily flip is something that I'm presupposing, or that it's easy to flip it. I think how you message, that's maybe a little beyond my pay grade. If you do it as generic court reform, if you phrase it as term limits and barring term limits, some other kind of judicial reform of some kind. I'm not sure what the direct way to package it, but I mean, there's a history of American people changing their mind on stuff.
Yeah, after decades of activism, usually. That's how that works.
We should start at some point.
I'd like to lay out.
Sure, that's fine, but should you run on it? That's the question.
I don't know. I'm not proposing. I'm not hearing Jessiah. Maybe you are to propose making it the centerpiece of our strategy. I just think it's like, if asked about it, we support this. And this is
I want every general election candidate to have a platform piece that says "Avenge Merrick Garland." I want that to be on the top 10 platform pieces, 100%.
I mean, the Republicans have been able to do that with like all sorts of shit with Trump. They changed their entire policies in so many ways. I mean, and you're seeing massive shifts right now in terms of popularity with respect to Israel. That's something that people's minds are being changed on. So I don't agree that you can't change people's mind on stuff.
Well, I mean, what you're proposing is something different though. Like let's say, for example, the Supreme Court over the next year, they hand out, 10 just egregiously bad opinions. Then you can start to see that opinion shift. But for a political party to take an issue,
I just feel like we're already there, Hutch. I mean, I'm just noticing what the Supreme Court is doing and has been doing for the last 8
you're
years.
But you're very plugged in, super engaged. We're talking about like the average voter.
Roe v. Wade, the average voter saw that too, and that was a massive decision.
But even after that, the support for packing the court is still down in like the fucking mid-30s. So like,
I think it depends on how you ask the question.
If I could lay out just kind of like the case that I was trying to make at the time, and here's how I look at it. And it's not just the voting rights challenge. It's obviously the culmination of all sorts of disastrous and consequential decisions. Not even just Dobbs, but like the Trump immunity decision is still, in my opinion, it's the worst modern Supreme Court decision in terms of what it does to the fundamentals of this country. And so here's how I look at it. And again, some of this is also informed, not that he represents the entire Democratic Party, but I felt vindicated that Sheldon Whitehouse agreed with me. Of course, this is a big bugbear of his. He felt that we also made a mistake not making this more of a public issue. I agree it shouldn't be the center point, but here's how I look at it. After Dobbs, after the immunity decision, and after the corruption scandal surrounding Clarence Thomas, the Supreme Court approval rating was at its nadir, such that Marquette University and a bunch of other pollsters were remarking that support for aggressive reform, and I think Hutch is right that I can't remember where court packing itself was, but I know it wasn't the highest, but aggressive, bold reform for the court in terms of binding codes of conduct with enforceable terms and term limits and all these things, support for that was at unprecedented highs. And in my argument was, and Sheldon Whitehouse agreed, is that the American people can get used to just about anything. And so if you don't seize the moment to try to invest the political capital you've accrued into making it more of an issue, then by the time you might want to try again, maybe the American people are used to a post-Dobbs world, a post-immunity world, a post-Supreme Court corruption world, because we've proven that we're that way. Dobbs had, I think, a massive impact on the 2022 midterms, but not so much on the 2024 election just 2 years later. So it's like you got to strike while the iron is hot thing. I think it says something, too, that in the aftermath of the Trump immunity decision, it was so bad that Biden, who is very cautious, an institutionalist to the core, did not want to, campaign on Supreme Court reform. He talked that he would look into it if he got elected in 2020. Then he put together a commission of experts to do it. Then he kind of swept it under the rug. But even Biden in 2024, as high stakes as that election was, even Biden was like, okay, after the Trump immunity decision, yes, I'm proposing a no kings amendment, a statute for term limits and all this other shit. So even Biden...
That feels like the way, I just want to say, Josiah, sorry, that feels like the way to have, there's a set of things that we need to do to protect our democracy, structural changes that we need, including ending partisan gerrymandering, including adding Puerto Rico as a state or Washington, D.C. as a state, and having some kind of a resolution on that. Like, there's a bunch of different things that we need to do and package as institutional safeguards against our democracy to Trump-proof as much as possible, to the extent that it's possible, future tyrants, and that is part of the package that I would try to sell to the American people of reforms to protect our democracy.
And I would just add, because I tried to anticipate Hutch's, I think, very valid point, which is that to a lot of people, this is a low salience issue and it's hard to tie it in. But I think that, and again, I was trying to do it on the fly during our conversation, but I think that certainly a team of, expert marketers and campaigners and speechwriters can tie Supreme Court decisions to concrete things that the American people are currently suffering or are not benefiting from. So you can speak to women who have anxiety about their abortion rights, the mom who had to watch her daughter die of an ectopic pregnancy because of trigger laws in Georgia. That's because of the Supreme Court and Trump. Or, the reason that your student loan forgiveness didn't go through Gen Z person who saw student loan forgiveness, it was because of the Supreme Court. And again, these are just examples I'm pulling, out of my ass. Like, here are things that we want to pass. But even if you elect a Democratic president, a Democratic House, and a Democratic Senate, this Supreme Court is poised to strike it down because they're a partisan right-wing supermajority. And so I feel like, again, you could at least try to invest the political capital to say, here are concrete, tangible pains you're either currently experiencing or could experience in the future. And so that's why you should support court reform and, yes, court expansion. That was kind of my case for it.
I agree with that, Josiah, but I think I will give credence to Hutch in that it should not be like the top 5 things that they're talking about. And I think the Democrats, this is just a full circle. Gavin Newsom, I asked, like, hey, during the shutdown, why aren't they making it the deal of why should we pass a resolution? Why should we pass a bill if you're not going to use the funds that Congress appropriates correctly? Why is that not the most important thing, that this guy is not letting Congress do their job? And he said, it is, but it's not the most salient thing. And the most salient thing is people want healthcare. So I would agree with Hutch insofar as like, yeah, like this should matter. And I do want us to fight back. And I do think we should campaign on fighting back, but it shouldn't be the top 5 thing.
No,
it should be, that should be gas prices and
I agree with that too. I agree with that too. And the last thing I'll say before I throw it back to Hutch is the only other reason why I think it still needs to be talked about, maybe it's not a top 5 thing, and I'm not committed to that, but why I still think it needs to be talked about it is because I don't see how you ever make it a high salience issue without trying to shape the narrative. I think that, you know, it's the American people and American politicians, they're in a feedback loop. It's not just politicians being influenced by the public. Politicians can, to some extent, influence the people. And so unless we're prepared to actually talk about it boldly, maybe not every other sentence or a top 5 issue, I don't think we'll ever get the public primed. And again, I'm worried about the next election. So if we elect a Democrat in 2028, and if we have a Democratic, by the grace of God, you know, we have control of Congress, again, what can they pass that this court couldn't, in theory, strike down? I think Pisco will tell you, I know this is my position, in theory, any federal statute, the Supreme Court can strike it down as unconstitutional and come up with some legalese gobbledygook as to why they don't like it. They can reverse engineer an outcome and try to justify it through the law.
Well, then FDR ran into this problem as well, right? And just the threat of impeachment is, I believe, what made the Supreme Court knock it off. And so perhaps that would work now. I don't know. But there's only been one Supreme Court justice impeached in our history, Samuel Chase, I think it was, who was nominated by none other than George Washington. And that caused the court to change for like 100 years. So I'm willing to believe that perhaps a threat of impeachment might even push these guys. I know it sounds crazy in today's day and age, but that might do it too.
I think FDR had majorities that made that vaguely possible, whereas we're not going to ever have, because you would need 67 votes in the Senate to impeach.
Sure, but just the
what I say?
This
Or you make
67.
Yeah,
no, you said 67.
I don't know if there were 100 senators back then, but 75% of the Democratic, 75% of the Congress when FDR was president were Democrats, and even he couldn't pack the court. And so it's just, you know, I take that into consideration. I also take into the fact that, that we've had many Supreme Court decisions that have come down that have been really unpopular. Like the Supreme Court, in terms of public approval, their numbers are very low as far as I understand it. I think it's like 25% or 30%, like that. Like the public very broadly is, I mean, certainly like a lot of independents, you know, MAGA's who they are or whatever. But, and even with all that, and even with them having a low approval number, you can't really get support for packing the court or expanding the court above like 35, 38%, something like that. And so I don't know. I think this ties into maybe a philosophical difference that I have with, more specifically, like Jessiah and Pisco, and maybe sometimes with Soy Pill, where it seems like you guys have this theory that the Democratic Party, they can just go out there and like educate people and shift the numbers on these issues in really big ways. And there's just not really a strong precedent for this happening on really big kind of like policy proposals. It just, you know, you mentioned Biden, but he was shifting with the political winds. Like he didn't change. He wasn't influencing public opinion on court reform. He was following the public on their opinion on court reform, which is usually how it goes. But yeah.
Yeah, I'd be curious. I want to build on what Hutch just said and challenge Pisco and Soy Pill as well and ask them, I feel like you guys think different people could do this as another option too, right?
What do you mean
like
different
could
people?
Convince people of this? So Hutch is saying you think the Democrats could convince people with the right messaging, and you also think if they had the right people in there, they could convince people of this stuff too, right?
Well, theoretically, this is kind of a separate thing of like, obviously, I think there are examples of, you know, gay marriage stuff or universal healthcare stuff where politicians do drive the narrative in a certain way. But for this thing specifically, it's not about convincing people specifically as like one of your top things, but we already see the polling shows that people want something done, whether that's packing the court, whether that's court reform. The court reform has a huge, approval rating, and saying like, hey, we should do something about this, and have some sort of messaging to the American public that's, tagged onto your campaign and not your main thing you run on. I don't think that's that hard or that insane to think that could help us, and I don't think would hurt. But yeah.
To your point, IRI, my comment to Hutch was like, assuming that there was a high salience issue for which there would be resistance and you needed to convince people. My only kind of side point or whatever, or snide comment was, to the extent that this is an issue for which a massive amount of effort would be needed to change people's hearts and minds, I don't trust our current slate of congressional federal Democrats to be the people to push the envelope. I much more expect that, frankly, to come from influencers, to come from state Democrats, and maybe that's just a reflection of how sometimes black-pilled I am on some of the leadership in Congress.
But I feel like I
come from there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like I agree with you because, again, I support expanding the court in principle, but I do think that needs to come more from like the media, alternative media, the arts, and just kind of the public shifting over time. I don't think this is something that, like, if you try to blow your wad too early, that's something that will scare a lot of voters, because for a lot of people, they're just really uncomfortable about the precedent.
So Jesiah's doing his job. He's doing what he should be doing. Which
that's fine. I don't have a problem with I'm saying
it's
that
all part of the plan.
I think me and IRI are saying that the Democratic Party leadership shouldn't be the ones out there saying, you know, we should do this. They should play that. They should play that card only when they feel like it's 100% likely to succeed. I don't know if you can get out there.
His whole thing, though, in order for him to be effective at doing what he should be doing, which is convincing people from the alt media sphere, he's going to have to be calling for politicians to do this kind of thing. And you're going to, as the controlled opposition, you're going to be. So all of this is preordained. I mean, this is all deterministic.
So I said we're the Joker in the Dark Knight. We're destined to do this forever.
That's fine. You know, we have a debate on a podcast. That's fine.
This is backroom stuff, you know? Like, what I learned with the last election is that nobody gives a shit about our democracy. They care about paying a few more dollars at the grocery store. Like, people just don't value our democracy in today's day and age. They really don't care.
I would bang. Let's weaken that a little bit. I think the people who do value the democracy are already voting for Democrats and have already been convinced on the democracy argument.
Well, there's not enough of them.
There's not enough of them to deterministically swing the outcome.
Well, but that again, to me, that's like that represents a simultaneous challenge on either end, because I do believe, and maybe Laksha has the data to disprove it, I do think we're at a point where among the base, there's such an appetite for bold change and taking the fight that if we don't signal, and I'm not just saying in general towards Trump, but I do think the Supreme Court as well, that we don't signal in that direction, it might depress turnout from people on our side who are like, oh my God, why even bother turning out to vote if we're just going to basically play Groundhog Day every time? Well, wait a minute. Well, then, but the other issue too is, I'm still not quite sure. I mean, obviously, I know people in my, in the alt media space or whatever need to be talking about it, but I still just don't know. I don't think this will ever become organically a high salience issue. And I know IRI says, well, it's a backroom thing. I'm fine with that. Like, to me, the only reason to talk about it is to try to shape influence or shape opinion about it in the public so you can get the candidates needed to do the thing. But yeah, I mean, if we had a perfectly synchronized thing where it's like we all understood, like, hey, listen, we're not going to talk about expanding the court, but we all understand from Jared Golden all the way to AOC that if we get the majority, you bet your fucking ass that's what we're going to do. I just don't know if that's possible. Like, that's almost like a conspiracy at that point to try to corral, however many 300 different lawmakers between the House and the Senate into doing that sort of shit. So I think that's why I'm saying, realistically, for me, I think the only way you can ever create the circumstances is if you have politicians openly pushing the party, saying, yes, I will do this, and you should be pushing other people to do it too.
Yeah, it's not that you can't have politicians making the case for that. What we're saying is that this is something that just tactically should not come from leadership. Like, it has to come from people beneath them. And you spoke to the idea of like the idea that the base, there might be some people in the base that are not motivated to show up and vote. If I don't know if you're making this particular case, but just for example, like if the next nominee said, I'm not going to run on expanding the court, you're worried about that depressing the base. I would say that indicates that we have kind of a problem with the base right now, because the big challenge for the Democratic Party right now, and tell me if I'm wrong, but you have to simultaneously court a sufficient amount of people in the center who decide these elections while keeping your base also excited. Pisco, you're cringing, but
yeah, I'm cringing because why can't Schumer just be wrong? I mean, look, everyone has to be wrong before Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. Maybe it's the leadership that's wrong. Maybe the base is actually based.
Hold on. I want you to just like acknowledge. Do you agree with me that that's the challenge for the Democratic Party?
No.
Are you suggesting that the Democratic Party can win off their base alone?
No, I'm not saying that.
Then you have to take my position. What are you talking about?
No, I don't. No. So your position is that the problem with the Democrats, the main problem with the Democrats, is finding like a winning coalition or something, or triangulating a position that will appeal to these various different subgroups. That's what you said, right?
No. What I said was that if there's somebody in the Democratic base who says, well, I don't know if I want to vote for the next nominee because they don't want to expand the court, that's a problem with that person. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you would agree that that would be kind of a crazy thing to do, right?
I just find that as changing the subject, right? So yes, it's a problem with that person, but aren't we analyzing the strategy of the politicians at this point? Like, I'm happy to look at the individual voters' culpability. I do it all the time when we talk about like the lefties who didn't vote for Kamala Harris. I mean, that's a problem with that person. But if we're analyzing like the appropriate strategy for the Democrats, you kind of have to take the incentive structures of the different constituencies as they are, and we're not analyzing the normative outlooks on those voters, but on like the policies that the leaders are doing, right?
But if the party is focusing on trying to cater to that voter who says, I'm not going to vote for the next person unless they support expanding the court, they're going to lose every election.
I don't understand why.
For the presidency?
So if they focus on their base, you're like, that will necessarily cause them to lose elections. I just don't know what the argument for that is.
If they're exclusively focused on, because my whole thing was that it has to be a balance. Like the Democratic Party right now, and to a certain extent, the same thing applies to Republicans, I suppose, but less so maybe. But like the challenge for the Democratic Party is balancing that. Like you do have to
so
appeal
there's an
to
assumption.
sufficient.
I think there's an assumption in what you're saying.
Hold on, wait. Let me finish what I was saying. My point is that this hypothetical person who says, I'm not going to vote for the next candidate unless they support expanding the court, if the party focuses on just trying to make those people happy, which is just meeting a set of demands, they are going to lose every presidential election moving forward.
I don't agree. I don't think you made that case. I think the embedded assumption there is that appealing to the base will necessarily push out people in the middle. I've not been convinced by that. I think, if anything, the Democrats should be more appealing to their base right now, so they have a group of warriors among their base who's excited to push them. I think there are a lot of like follow-on effects to having this, this break in support from the base to the leadership, and those after-on effects, those externalities, are causing this sense of malaise among Democrats where the brand is shit. And when there is no conjunction, when there's no support from the base to the leadership, and that connection has been severed, I just think you're a chicken with your head cut off, and you don't have the needed energy and enthusiasm you need, which I think matters more than like triangulating a moderate position that in the abstract and in isolation is likely to appeal to the most people.
I think the problem for the Democrats is the truth is not in vogue right now. Like it's not sexy. It doesn't go viral. Real solutions are not what people are looking for. And the Republicans are leaning into lying and bullshit and quick fixes. And Democrats refuse to engage in that right now. That's what I think.
You
got to play the game, man.
There's a brand problem. And fixing the connection between the base.
Mamdani? Free buses?
No,
bus
listen.
Like, what would the solution be?
I'm not here to tell you that.
This is the problem, Pisco. Now I'm going to rough you up like Hutch.
Well, hang on. So you're asking
what you're leaving me with.
What is the brand that the Democrats should pursue? And you're saying, well, because you can't perfectly answer what the brand is, which in a lot of cases are like intangible charisma shit like Barack Obama had, and are things that, because I can't articulate that, I can't identify that there's a problem there?
No, because now you're like the Republican Party shitting on the ACA, and when we ask them, what's your alternative, they say, I don't know, shrug. So I say, you say there's a problem with the brand. I say there's a problem with the people not finding something to support and get excited about. So
whether there is or not,
Mamdani's part of the Democratic Party. He's part of the brand.
Well, I'm not sure about that. I'm talking about like the mainline Democratic brand in general, people's support for the Democratic Party as a generic concept. That's what I'm talking about here with respect to the leadership in the respective federal governments. That's what I'm talking about here. And you know what? I can't perfectly define what that brand ought to be, but I don't need to say that there's a problem there. And you're saying, well, the people can have problems. Yeah, the people can have problems. Regardless of whether the people have problems, the brand there's an issue here. And I'm identifying through polling and other issue. And Lakshya will say the same thing.
Issue? Why do you say the brand has an issue?
Because the Democrats right now are more unpopular than Trump is. That's an issue, isn't it? Yes or no?
What
is that an issue?
These are polls.
Is that an issue?
These are same polls.
Is that an issue?
It's not
an issue that Democrats are less popular than Trump.
It's not. Because these are the same polls that said Kamala was going to win Iowa by 4 points. So I don't really buy them. Number one. Number two, the proof is
Seltzer.
We've been winning every special election. I don't care what bullshit people say. We've been winning them. We've shifted the electorate 13 points to the left on average. So there's nothing wrong with the brand. What we had was a geriatric candidate that fell apart in the final year of the election, wasn't able to defend himself vigorously. And then Kamala got thrown in there for 3 months. I mean, people might say it's excuses, but this is the truth, man. Like, our brand is hot. Look what they're doing with the ACA right now. People like this. We are right in tune with the American people and this bullshit of their rising insurance premium.
See, I hope you're right.
How is that bad?
I listen. I think that the stand the Democrats are taking on the shutdown is, it's not going horribly. I think that actually it's going decently. I think it should have happened sooner. But
it's brilliant.
We should be up 8-9 points. IRI. We should be up 8-9 points. And you're saying that I don't believe the polls. I don't care about the polls.
You're never going to be up 8 or 9 points when you're in the minority. How can you be up 8 or 9 points?
Wait. Why do you say that? Of course we can, and of course we did. That happened in the Trump first term. That happened in 2006 when Bush was in his.
I think we are up 8 or 9 points. To be clear.
No, we're not. In generic ballots, that's crazy.
Oh,
we're
no.
up 1 or 2.
Hold on. I thought you meant on the
shutdown. No. I'm saying overall, on the shutdown, people are putting more blame on the party in power. Almost in terms of the polling on that's almost like regular compared to usually the person in power gets blamed for the shutdown, and I don't see the Democrats are doing any kind of. They're not fucking it up, which is something good, I guess. But
I'll use different logic than IRI because I'm not gonna call in the question the quality of the polls, but I think it matters less that the Democratic Party numbers are down so much right now because we're out of power. It kind of doesn't really matter.
So you don't think it's a problem that the Democrats are polling worse than Trump?
No. Of course it's a problem. It's a problem.
So you disagree with IRI? IRI is
I do. I mean, I think it's a problem, but I don't think it's as much of a problem as you're suggesting. I'm saying it's kind of predictable that their numbers would be low right now. In fact, it is predictable and in line with historical precedent. When you look at other parties when they've lost power, their numbers have dropped. Like the Republican Party, I think I mentioned this last week. The Republican Party voters, their base, had a lower opinion of the Republican Party in 2014 than Democrats do of their own party now. And 2 years later, they went and won a trifecta. And so this is just, you kind of expect that their numbers are going to be low.
That's a great historical analog to suggest that there's an issue. And there was an issue with the Republican Party, and they weren't winning. And that unhappiness presaged a radical shift in the the result of that has been 8 years of a Trump presidency, 3 Supreme Court justices, and they were successful off of that. Yeah. So I think that such a reckoning is due and ought occur now, and that we need to change to fit the times, whatever we're doing. And the most important thing is we're 9 months into the presidency. We need to acknowledge there's a problem, right? If we don't agree that there's a problem, then we're never going to solve it, right? Then it'll only just be by luck that we'll solve it.
That's going to be up to the people. The people are going to determine who advances in the next primary. And when you look at basically the entire modern history, presidents win by attacking the center. Why do you think they do that? And even Donald Trump did that. Even Donald Trump did that in his own way. He was, he would took a more moderate position on abortion, for example. He lied his ass off, but there were ways that he was obviously targeting his own base with the extremist stuff. But in minor ways, he was also targeting the center. Biden did that, he won. Obama did that, he won. Clinton did that, he won. Carter, Reagan,
Hutch, I guess the contention here.
Every president does this because that is how you have to win.
The strife that I'm seeing here between you guys is which of these things is going to matter more in the election? Is it that this is true, people are disillusioned with Democrats and feel like there's not a cohesive message that they can get behind? Or is it that Republicans are fucking up so much that people will just vote for whoever is not them? And whichever of those is more important is kind of the contention between what you guys are arguing. I don't think we can definitively say that right now, But I think it's valid to say, at the very least, I think Democrats can be better on messaging. There are a lot of people who don't necessarily, feel like there is a cohesive message behind Democrats. Even if they do have good policies, the messaging isn't good enough. It could be better. And that might not matter nearly insofar as much as Republicans just dropping the fucking ball right now, which is to your IRI and Hutch's point.
But to my point is, this was a low point for the Democrats, but they've done a brilliant job on the Epstein files. They've been leading on that, putting Trump in an awkward, terrible position. They've done a brilliant job on leading the fight for bringing down health insurance premiums, which is just beginning. Those notices are just going out right now. And we're the party of Mamdani. He's a Democrat. He's the Democratic Party's nominee. So our brand allowed for someone like Mamdani to come in, who's the most exciting thing in politics right now. So I would argue that we're doing just fine. And we have a base that's a foundation that is just ready for success. It's not here right now, but it's cooking. It's a slow
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. All right. I will say, given that Mamdani is the most exciting thing in politics, I'll be happy when Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer endorse the most exciting thing that's happening in politics.
But they're holding back also allows him to become even more exciting, because now he's kind of like the bad boy of the Democratic Party too.
Naughty boy.
Let me just throw one thing out there.
Because no one likes the leadership, right? So to the extent that he's getting any bona fide,
who
is glomming onto Mamdani? Who's like, I say that they should endorse him because it's the right thing to do. But
Pisco,
if we go for it.
AOC was glazing Hakeem Jeffries in the last few days in interviews. Like, they like him. I understand that you could say
he's not going anywhere. Because he's not going anywhere.
So you think AOC is just playing politics? That she's like, well, of course, I'm going to say nice.
Yes, she's a
come
politician.
on, that's ridiculous.
I'm sure she's being.
She's untouchable.
Wait, who's untouchable?
I think that she works well with people. She understands that Hakeem Jeffries is around to stay, and AOC is like a good politician, and she does.
She was Biden ride or die. She was Biden ride or die.
And I think that's
she
fine
came out
to
the
do.
gate for Biden after that shitty debate. She was one of the first people out the gate saying, "I'm all in on Biden." You
remember that? Just picture where they held hands?
Instincts.
That was beautiful.
I think she has instincts that are political, and she is definitely a better member than some of these other firebrands conservatives. Like, she actually shows up to do the job, and she's learned a lot, and so I respect her. And yeah, she's not gonna in the moment. I think she understands that Hakeem Jeffries not going away. But do I think that if we were able to get AOC in a sincere moment and be like, do you think that he's doing the best possible job? I don't think she'd say yes.
I mean, Jeffries has the overwhelming support of his caucus in the House because he's effective in that role. There's no appetite to oust him. It's just not there. I mean, if he was really that ineffective, then I think you would see at least like one person go on the record and say that I think he should step down. I don't think a single House member has made that call, because when he picks these fights, he always extracts concessions. Like, he's never picked a fight that he's lost so far.
It's a collective action problem. I mean, that's what there's a collective action problem, which means that no individual member. It's the same reason why people were reluctant to call on Biden to drop out until they all happened at once.
Do you think
and it's for the same kind of incentives?
Do you think one reason why the party sentiment right now among the voter base is so low is because of attitudes like yours, quite frankly?
No.
Where,
I mean, that is copium.
For example,
I want to fucking glaze these people.
You're suggesting that the Democrats should get out there and lead and educate voters and run on something that's like really unpopular, like expanding the court.
Yeah.
But first of all,
Pisco isn't saying
this is dishonest.
Pisco isn't. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pisco, but let me speak for you real quick. I don't think you're the reason this sentiment is here. There are a lot of people, and whether you want to call them ignorant and informed, or people that genuinely they genuinely don't like the Democratic Party messaging right now because they're like, what are they doing? They're looking for answers. That sentiment exists now. Whether or not that has anything to do with the policies they run on is a little bit irrelevant to these people are disaffected to some degree. And IRI brings up good points of like, hey, look at all this amazing stuff they're doing correctly. A bunch of people just don't know about that. And it's important that either they change nothing about policy and at least invigorate the base with look what we're doing. This is amazing, because that sentiment's not there. But I don't think Pisco, again, correct me if I'm wrong. This isn't you inventing a narrative. The Democrats are bad on messaging, right?
Let's add some substance to this. When you say you want the Democratic leadership to do things to invigorate the base, in the context of right now,
Don't be cringe, number one. Okay, so number one, don't be cringe.
All right, fine.
Yes. So that's a concrete thing.
Well,
don't be fucking cringe.
And Pisco, let me add something.
Wait, hang on a second. Why are you like, they're cringe? I don't know what to tell you. They're fucking cringe.
Cringe to you?
Boomer, yeah, exactly. Boomers, when they see Chuck Schumer, they're just like, oh yeah, that's like my peer. You know what I mean? Like boomers are cringe. What do you want me to say? They're gonna be. They're not.
So then everyone. So Chuck Schumer has.
Dying.
Chuck Schumer, who has lower approval rating than I think like any other leader, and certainly like double digits less than Trump. He's doing everything great, and we're all stupid for not seeing it. I mean, you must think that the Democratic Party is filled with a bunch of fucking idiots who don't realize the genius of Chuck Schumer.
I mean, you know,
how's he failing? What's he doing wrong?
So the first example I think is not taking the fight in March. In terms of cringeness, I think that the meter is a little bit off the scale in terms of cringeness. That's maybe subjective in your mind, that it's totally subjective to call someone cringe and say that their messaging is tired, old, trite, not youthful. The fact that he's an old guy also contributes to it.
What if he was
right?
So
a lot of those are.
What if he's
right on what? Do you think that
that fighting now with the subsidies on the table was the better move? What if he's proven right?
I don't agree with that, but even put that aside. But
you got Marjorie Taylor Greene on CNN talking to Wolf Blitzer about, I got a lot of people in my district complaining about the subsidies, so maybe we should. And guess what, Pisco? Now they're talking about getting rid of the filibuster. The Republicans get rid of the filibuster. That's step number one in packing the court.
That's good? Wait, why is that good?
Because now the Republicans might get rid of the filibuster for the budget, and that gets us one step closer to getting rid of the filibuster, because you're not packing the court without getting rid of the filibuster.
The second they want to do something really, really, really badly, the Republicans will abandon the filibuster in 2 seconds. That's Jessiah point, and Jessiah has been correct about that the entire time. Even put aside the disagreement about when to have the fight in March or when to have it now, and I think that the fight right now is like they're not fucking it up so horribly. This specific fight on the budget. But I do think they should have had it in March. But
why is it so hard for you to say that? Why is it so hard for you to say that they're doing a good job right now? Like they are doing a good job right now, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Like they're holding their caucuses unified in this fight against Republicans. They're forcing this issue. Why
do you think they're doing a good job? Explain why they're doing a good job.
I'm explaining to you right now.
Yeah,
they're keeping their caucuses unified in the Congress in this fight with the Republicans. They are forcing Republicans to pick a fight on an issue that is unpopular for them. The public, by plurality, blamed them for this shutdown. Like,
so you're going
what else?
Polling, right?
What else?
So two things you said there. One is keeping the so two things I extracted from that. You tell me if I'm wrong. So just don't say anything else. Just tell me if I'm wrong about the two things I'm extracting.
Yes or no.
The first one is that they're keeping the caucus together. Mm-hmm. That's something that you're saying is good.
That's
and the polling, right?
Part of it. That's like the.
So you agree that there were failures in March, correct? Because they didn't keep their caucus together.
To IRI's point, Chuck Schumer.
Wait, can you answer that first, and then you can explain? Were they failures when they didn't keep their caucus together in March? Can you answer that first? Can you answer that and then explain? Answer that question.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
You have to be willing to allow for nuanced answers.
I will, but just answer it first. Okay? Were they failures when they didn't keep their caucus together in March?
And let me answer the question. To IRI's point,
crazy.
Chuck Schumer might be vindicated, and I had the same conversation with Jessiah. Because if he would have picked that fight back in March, where we didn't really have like a lot of popular things to fight them on, it would have undermined the fight now.
Were they failures in March when they didn't keep their caucus together?
At this point, I'm comfortable saying Chucky Boy was fucking vindicated.
Wait.
It was the right
in March.
move.
So keeping the caucus together is an indication of success. Is that correct?
Are you listening to what I'm saying?
No, yes, I am. Because in March they didn't keep the caucus.
You're trying to debate for me, man.
Let's just make it clear. So one of the metrics of success. One of the metrics you I am very clear. It's very clear. Hutch, this is very clear. One of the metrics of success. One of the metrics of success that you gave was keeping their caucus together. That's something you just said, right? So in March, Hutch, in March, wait. You're not letting me get it out because you know it's crushing your argument. So in March, they didn't.
Not listening.
March. Hutch.
I'm just going to say next week when Josiah's not here, I'm going to abuse the mute.
Let him finish, Hutch. Let him finish.
You said just now one of the metrics of success for Chuck Schumer et al. Was keeping the caucus together. You agree they didn't do that. Can you let me finish?
Yes.
Because you know you're good. That's why you're not letting me finish. So they did not keep their caucus together in March, correct?
Schumer did not. No.
Okay. So that was a failure, wasn't it?
Sure. Fine.
Okay.
Josiah, yes, it was an abysmal failure. Now, will you address my point? That if he would have picked that fight back then,
second thing you said,
listen, if he would have picked that fight back then, could it have backfired and undermined the fight that we're in right now?
Could it have? Logically, is it possible that
it
could? It also could not have. It's such a meaningless thing to say. Could have. Could have just means it's possible.
You're positing that it was a failure because it wouldn't have. Right. What IRI and Hutch are saying is Schumer made the correct calculus that it probably would have, and it wasn't a failure because it's working better.
Wait a
now.
minute. Wait a minute. Hang on. I got to correct you there. Wait, did you say Schumer and who?
And Jeffries.
Jeffries did not.
Jeffries.
No, I thought you said. Yeah, I thought you said Schumer and Jeffries. Jeffries made a different calculus than Schumer back in March or April.
Yeah, they weren't they didn't agree. The two leaders didn't agree in that point. There was no unity there. And I'm just taking the things that you are saying are metrics of success for these leaders. One of them is like unity and keeping the caucus together. That didn't seem to apply in March. There were other considerations. The other thing you said was polling. And if you're going to point to polling on the government shutdown, which I think is a little bit overdetermined by the fact that it's the Republicans in control of everything. But if you're just going to look at polling as an indicator of success, why wouldn't you look at the polling of them overall? It seems weird that you would, on this polling, they're very successful, and that, so I'm going to slice the data in this one way, and that's
how do
the
you
polling
evaluate the success of like a shutdown fight? Like, what are you looking for?
Well, I think that it's overdetermined. They're not doing additional harm. That's why I phrase it as them not fucking up, which is good, I guess. But it's not, it's the same kind of polling that you saw in previous shutdown fights when the Republicans had significant control of either Congress or the presidency. And so I'm not giving them extra bonus points.
In your ideal world, let's say the March thing didn't happen. Like that was never a consideration. Right now, what would they be doing better? What would be the perfect PSCO shutdown?
I think, wait, hang on. Doing the shutdown right now in terms of the issue they go on, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think that healthcare and tariffs are fine. Or tariffs are fine. I think those are two good issues. But I don't understand what the point of this is.
No, we're just saying they're doing a good job in the shutdown. So if you're saying they're not fucking it up, which is implying either mediocre or bare minimum, there obviously must be in your mind somewhere
they're not exceeding expectations, is what I'm saying.
Right, so, and what would be that expectation?
My expectation is that the party that controls all branches of the federal government is going to get blamed for a shutdown. And so what I'm saying is if it were the case that it were like even, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like my expectation is that the party that's largely in control of the federal government, the courts, the Congress, and the presidency is going to get blamed. And so you're like, oh my God, they're getting blamed. But that should be your starting point. That should be your starting assumption that they get blamed.
Sure. But again, then is it like they've maxed out on what they could be doing? Could they be doing something better? Like what would be better?
The problem is it's a personnel issue. It's a personnel issue. It's ultimately they're too old and too cringe, and that's reflected in their polling. And no one buys the sincerity of them, and that's the issue. It's not a ideological issue. It's a personnel issue. It's about sincerity. It's about communication. That's the issue.
Did you see any signs hating on Schumer or Jeffries at the No Kings protest? I didn't see any.
Just the ones he was waving.
Okay, but like, is that our new metric? Where Trump supporters, like the crowd sizes and the signs that we see, these are the metric. I thought we were people who are more looking at like polling and objective measures.
I'm going to interject here. So listen, I think that I take it on the discrete issue of how Democrats are handling the shutdown. I would give them a passing grade for that as well. As far as whether I think that they are engaging with it optimally, I just don't know, because I don't know offhand how the Democrats' polling on the shutdown compares to historic examples. I do know that PSCO is right, because I think Harry Enton did something about this earlier. I didn't get to watch the whole thing. That yes, Democrats are ahead on the generic ballot right now, but right now we're actually further behind than what we should be in terms of taking back the House. That I think in previous situations, for example, the relative disparity between the in party and the out party was greater, and so we're cutting it much closer now in terms of the generic ballot than go ahead.
What do you value more in terms of like something that would be predictive of success next November? General ballot polling or the special election over performance margins?
I think they're both important. And the reason that I'm not discounting the special election stuff is because we overperformed on special elections in 2023 and we lost in 2024. So I don't think they're outcome determinative.
We actually won seats in the House in 2024. You know what I mean? So like that election, following 2 years of inflation, that should have been a fucking bloodbath. Just to be clear, like that should have been a fucking 30, 40 seat majority for Republicans in the House and 5, 6, 7 seat majority in the Senate or something.
That was your expectation? I mean, our expectation was to win. That's what we wanted to happen. I can't believe our standards now is like the 2024. We're rewriting history so that in 2024 we should have lost by sweeping landslides.
Do you not understand?
And that's our standard.
Do you not understand the point that I'm making?
Clearly not. What's the point?
I honestly don't know how to help you understand the point that I'm making.
You're saying what we should have expected out of 2024 are massive losses.
In line with historical precedent and in line with the precedent that was occurring all over the globe. I think that we should take great care to not overinflate the strength of the Republican Party's position right now. They are not a politically strong party right now.
No, and I don't think any of us take them to be a politically strong party. I just think the data currently show that we're not either. And again, I suppose if you just want to put all your stock on special elections, I mean, again, that's where wait a minute, that's where I think Laksha will be very helpful and other data analysts like Laksha, because my understanding is there are two competing major elements of data. Is how do you look at like what is going on in elections right now? And also, what's the generic ballot look like? What do approval ratings look like? And yes, I agree. In two of the three metrics, we are doing exceptionally well. In the second metric, we're doing okay. We're doing better than they are, but not at the level we need to.
I think,
wait a minute, and then the third thing, the approval, we're actually incredibly substandard.
But I think you can find like a unifying theory here, which is that I think what we're seeing in terms of the polling about the Democratic Party right now, especially with its own base. And then we square that with the special election overperformances, which are substantial, by the way. They're like double what they were leading into the 2018 midterms. I think what we see is a picture of an electorate, a Democratic Party electorate, that are pissed off but highly engaged. So I think that there's a lot of good reasons right now to feel optimistic about the course of the party over the next year.
I would just say
now, that's not to say that the party has no problems, and I agree with Pisco a lot of the times when it talks about like messaging and stuff like that. But I just feel like that kind of critique in the context of the shutdown is really superficial. Like, how do you think the Democrats should be?
Real quick, Bubs, I didn't say that in two of the three metrics we're doing exceptionally well. I said in one we are. The second one, which is generic ballot, we are doing okay, but actually deficient of where we need to be according to Harry Enton and according to where we've been in the past. And then the third metric, we are incredibly substandard. So we're doing great, okay, terrible. That's not exactly a winning formula with me. Well, hang on. I was correcting him. I was correcting this chatter here. And as far as what you're saying, I would just say this. We've known, I guess, for the past few election cycles that Democrats enjoy an advantage with higher educated, more
regular voters.
Yeah, more regular voters. But that Trump and the Republicans have an advantage when it comes to disaffected voters. So actually, if you maximize
when he's
turnout,
on the ballot, when he's on the ballot, but I don't know. I don't know what 2026 will look like, because you're right, he's not on the ballot. But I don't think that we. Let me ask you, what's your level of optimism? Like, how predictive do you think off-year elections are with a midterm election where Trump is not on the ballot? I looked this up, and according to historical precedent, when there's a trend, if you have like outliers here and there where there's massive overperformances, that's not necessarily predictive. But when you have consistent trend, and to be clear, that trend is actually expanding. Like the rate at which Democrats are overperforming is actually growing. It was like 9 points back in March, and now it's over 12 points, I think, on average across these special elections. That is always predictive of where the next election is going to go in terms of midterms.
Gotcha.
Pisco, I'm worried that your dissatisfaction with Charles Schumer is clouding your ability to give the props where they're due here, because I can't see how anyone could say anything but amazing job, Democrats. The timing with the ACA subsidy notifications going out, and this is not an issue that's temporary. This is going to be an issue all next year, I think, going into the midterms. Health insurance premiums. This is one of people's top bills. So I just think that Chuck has done a great job here. I understand the fight wanted to be had back in March, but he thought it would be better to fight now. And by all measures, it's starting to look like he was right, because he's now, for the first time since the election, the Democrats are leading the narrative. Republicans are playing catch up.
I'm not sure about that. Listen, I respect a lot of what Charles Schumer did. He's the senator of the state in which I reside, and I respect that he and Pelosi got some incredible legislation passed in their time, and in general are trying to steward the country in a generally like better place. That said, my dissatisfaction doesn't really have to do with ideology. It has to do with ganas and fight, optics, messaging, communication, that kind of thing. And I'm just someone who just does not think that they're made for this moment right now. And
but how can you see what's happening here and think it's like brilliant,
a C,
what's going on?
It's like a C IRI. Like my expectation going into this shutdown fight is being met. And that expectation, like I said, is that the Republicans are in power. They're going to get blamed for a shutdown. But the shutdown is not front of mind for like all these people. I think healthcare was going to be an issue regardless of this shutdown or not. Like
not in March. Not in March, because March was before the big beautiful bill gutted Medicaid funding and before the ACA subsidies are.
But it was when Elon Musk was top of mind, and Elon Musk was a huge driver of turnout for Democrats in the special election in Wisconsin, and it was an issue at a time when having that fight in terms of the destruction they're doing in the bureaucracy. I think there would have been more opportunity, and then you could have had the healthcare fight again right now. And so I just view that as a complete missed opportunity. And a lot of the benefits that we're getting in terms of optics, in terms of the substance on healthcare, those were just available to Democrats anyway. So I kind of view as yeah.
Well, what do you think Democrats could have asked for back in March?
Yeah, so I think that they should have asked for Doge to stop. They should have asked for the Doge cuts, the money for USAID to go through. Those kinds of requests related to some of the Doge activities that were happening there, and really make Elon Musk the target of this shutdown, and take a stand in trying to at least curtail or buy time on the kind of rampage that Trump is doing in the bureaucratic state. And then you could have still had the fight in September as well. I don't think that these are mutually exclusive fights to have.
Well,
yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And listen, the only thing I'll say is this: like, even if I grant the other premises and the optimism, I mean, Hutch gave me a really optimistic worldview that I'm pleased by. That according to his data, it looks like our overperformance in these off-year elections will be highly predictive of what we do in the 2026 midterms. That's
Laksha when he comes on.
But the only other thing, this is the next follow-up you should ask Laksha is, of course, that does not presuppose what the Republicans intend to do with redistricting, right? We're talking about the landscape as it is. It's entirely possible that they gerrymander their way into a nigh insurmountable advantage.
No, I don't know if I don't know if that's true. Because like if you can get an environment where it's like D+6 +8 +10 or something like that, then you can't gerrymander your way out of that kind of a sweep. Like I don't know if they can. I don't know. I'm trying to push against the total black pill of suggesting that the Republicans could potentially construct a district makeup.
That's why I said nigh insurmountable. Like, okay, let me put it a different way. Let's put it in more concrete terms. You said we have right now reason to be very optimistic about 2026, presumably with the maps the way they are. So I want you to what is your take if they got the Voting Rights Act or Section 2 and they gerrymander the maps, and basically what is it? Was it 19 net seats that would favor Republicans if both of these things came into
something like that? Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah,
something like that.
I follow a lot of like nonpartisan pollsters, and they're all saying the same thing. Where it's like it's bad, it's obviously bad, but the Republicans can't gerrymander themselves into like an insurmountable.
What do you mean? But what do you mean by bad? So like I'm asking.
Losing seats is bad, right? Like we would end up with a smaller majority. Is what?
So you would still be optimistic if they gerrymander like 19 favorable districts. You're saying it would just make our inevitable victory would be smaller.
I would be less optimistic, but I would still be optimistic that we'd take back the House. I just think it would be with a bare majority.
That's optimism. I've not heard that, so I am definitely looking forward to your conversation. I'm definitely looking forward to your.
I listen to people that are smarter than me. We can ask.
No. I definitely need to hear that, because what I've been hearing and reading from the Dan Pfeiffers, who I trust, and I thought I saw something from Laksha saying that yes, in theory, Democrats could still take back the House, but we would not be favored to. My understanding was the odds if they get 23 favorable seats due to redistricting, it's no longer 60-40 Democrats, 80-20 Democrats. It would be more like 60-40 Republican That's my understanding.
I'll give a metric, and I gotta say, I love my brothers IRI and Hutch. Fears the mind killer and all that. If Schumer and Jeffries are able to pull a 15 or greater House majority and gain at least one Senate seat, I will give them their due. And I will say, maybe I didn't recognize their game. That's my metric. I'm laying it out right now. 15 seat majority in the House.
If they do that, will you commit to voting for Schumer in the next election?
No, I will not. I will not commit to that.
I tried for you, Hutch and I.
For primary. Obviously, I'll go for
for this metric. I mean, would you not at least give it to them if they got Republicans to get a concession on this shutdown, like a good concession? Like, would that not be enough for you? Like
the ACA credits?
Anything like something other than the shutdown results in what was going to happen before. It's an actual concession from Republicans to end this. Like, would you not
if they get a concession on I'll give them credit. I just don't think that's.
Can I be honest with you?
That is not mutually exclusive with my other positions. It wouldn't contradict anything I've said about they could have gotten a deal in March and they could for other stuff, and they could have also gotten this subsidy extension. This is just a good policy that the Republicans are vulnerable on. So I will give them credit for that because someone needs to do it, and obviously I will praise them for that. But it's not like any of my other criticisms go away.
I just feel like when the Republicans were out of power in let's go back to 2021 where it was like a full trifecta. Were people looking to congressional leadership on the Republican side of the aisle to be the thing that drove the numbers for the party? I guess the point I'm trying to make is I would put that more on the DNC and then the state level Democratic parties to do what they have to do to win elections. I view the role of the Senate majority leader and the House minority leader or eventual House Speaker, hopefully, their job is more about being effective in their role, which is, knowing when to pick the fights and then being winning the fights that they pick. Those things feel just a lot more relevant to me in terms of evaluating their job approval.
I think you need people in government to sort of channel the energy in online content. That's why Newsom has been so effective for a lot of commentators, and they're able to make 1,000 videos on base Newsom or base Pritzker or this or that, is because you do need people in these positions for Democrats to get excited about. And so I understand that there's a functionary ministerial / institutional role that is also very, very key. And I would not discount that at all for these leaders of their respective houses. I'm just saying that now the job is 55% beyond that role. 55% it's messaging and communication. 45% it's your job.
Wait, hold on. I just want to. I know we're getting towards the end here, but I just want to.
We have been watching past the end.
I just want to focus on that for a second because it sounded like you said that, and I'm being a bit reductive here, but it's a part of it, right? But it sounded like you said that you would value somebody who got more social media engagements over somebody who was really good at keeping their caucus unified. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
That is correct. I think that 55% of the job is messaging about how you're doing the job, and 45% of your job is doing your job. Does that make sense? So these days, I'm not saying that I personally wish it were the case. I'm just telling you what makes a good politician and a good leader. 55% of it, this is my personal estimation, this is my personal evaluation of what matters to be effective, is talking about how you're doing your job, and 45% is actually doing it.
All right, we don't need to linger on that. I just wanted to. We'll agree to disagree on that one. But yeah.
Wait, really? I mean, look. Look around you. We're in a different world. People are acting as though just putting your head down and getting the shit done and being the fucking industrial dog. That's how you get wins. But Biden did that, right? Biden was. Go for it.
Just briefly, I think what Hutch is saying is that you don't need every lawmaker to be on TV and making the case. You need, most of them are going to be behind the scenes just doing good work, right, Hutch? I mean, it's basically part of what you're saying too.
Yeah, the fact that we have people like Newsom on our bench that are out there, that's great. Yeah. But he's also in a totally different position where he's got a super
regardless of whether it's 55 or 40. People are underselling. My point is people are undercounting the value of communication. And yes, I agree. The Schumer and Jeffries, they have institutional roles that really, really matter. It matters to have generally a caucus that does more of its job, with the exception of fuck, who's the Kirsten Sinema stopped showing up to her job, and Fetterman apparently was like bored and doesn't even want to be a senator anymore. Like, there's some exceptions here, but in general, Democrats are willing to do the job more than the Republicans are willing to do the job. That's all good, and to their credit. My point is, in terms of our balance here, the messaging is shitty. That's why.
It's not because of me.
It's not because of me. It's not because of me.
You're saying also, Pisco, you're saying Hutch and IRI. I'm glad you're crediting. Yeah, like Newsom is doing this well, and not everyone needs to, but there needs to be the leader doing it. And right now, Newsom is not the federal leader. Maybe he will be one day, but like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer aren't doing a good job of that. I think Pisco is saying there needs to be someone doing that.
Let me meet you in the middle, because I don't entirely disagree with you. What I think the difference between the only difference that I would kind of like insert here is that I think that they should hire like really good fucking teams, like hire Mamdani's team, get references from Mamdani's team, because they put on a fucking clinic for how to do political messaging. And now you're seeing all these copycats all over the country because they saw how good that shit was. I personally don't care.
We met the tweet writer for Newsom, and he got applause. He is doing an amazing fucking job.
He's probably a bigger fucking superhero than Newsom. Because listen, I like Newsom. Newsom's very good, but like when we credit Newsom rhetoric, 60% of it actually is from that fucking press office account.
Or like
that Newsom himself doesn't run. He's a very good debater, and I think he's very good at what he does. But so much of his profile is attributable to that press office account that he has very little to do with.
But one criticism, Josiah, I asked him to call Trump retarded on stage. He said he wouldn't do it, so it's not happening.
Well, listen, everybody has their limits, I suppose. I'll just say this: I do think that when the party is out of power. I mean, I take your point about how important it is for the party in power to actually govern. And I would still say at this point, lesson learned from Biden, messaging is at least as important as actual governance because facts don't speak for themselves. But I would certainly agree with Pisco that when you are not the party in power, when right now the Democrats have no power, and to the extent that they are powerful and influential, it is defined purely in opposition to Trump. It's not actually by accomplishing anything, right? Because Trump's not really going to work with them on anything. That's why so much of the polling and motivation of the base is your job is to fuck Trump. You have one job. Your job isn't to pass meaningful legislation because you can't do that. It is to fuck Trump. And so that's where I'm with
We need
Pisco.
to fuck Trump.
Watch those numbers though. Watch those numbers. If they extract concessions from this Republican Party, they will. Those numbers are gonna go up.
So that's why. Wait a minute. You guys have been talking. Listen, this is my last show. This is my last chance. That's why I agree with Pisco that when you're out of power, I do think messaging matters more than how you govern, because again, the Democrats aren't governing. But the thing I was trying to say 45 minutes ago was, what?
No, it's true. You have been trying to say it for like an hour.
That I was trying to say 45 minutes ago was, I'll be honest with you. For me, the extent to which I am crediting the Democratic Party at the moment, and I am, actually comes from the process itself. So you ask, like, what concessions could they extract? I think it's actually the shutdown itself that I'm crediting them for, or in terms of how they're winning the polling and the messaging battle over the shutdown. If Trump were to come tomorrow and say, I will give you concessions on the ACA subsidies or whatever, here's why I would actually hesitate there, because through the rescission process, all it takes 51 votes, they'll claw that shit back. So it's like,
there's a price for that.
Well, but my point, and maybe it is, but it's like, I have only been thinking about the process itself, the shutdown itself, and winning that messaging war. I don't know what I would think or what I would feel if Trump says tomorrow, okay, fine, fuck it, I'm throwing in the towel. I'll give you these subsidies, because I don't trust the motherfucker, and I think they've proven that. I would actually go, wait, well, then we need to rescission-proof this. We need to put some sort of fucking rider in the bill. That's what I'm saying. Like they're
you can't take the ACA subsidies back.
Yeah.
That's my understanding. Do you think he can? Like he could rescind the ACA subsidies?
I don't think
he would if it would pass. But
I don't know of any provision. I don't know of any funding provision that is not subject to rescission.
That would just be. I mean, even if there theoretically was a way, that would be so fucking catastrophic for them. There would be a price,
and maybe that would be best case scenario. Maybe
voters, maybe. I promise you.
It's not part of the budget though. It was done through the Inflation Reduction Act. So it'd be like separate legislation for the ACA subsidies.
Well, and maybe
I'm
you're
saying that hasn't
there.
stopped him in the past.
Well, wait a minute.
Like of doing illegal curtailments.
Well, they could overturn it with another budget reconciliation bill. Sure.
But that's my point, because I again, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but I do know that this is something that all the boys at Pod Save America who worked in government were also worried about as well, that any concessions Trump makes on anything, and they didn't make an exception for the ACA subsidies, they're worried about what Trump could either just
because it all gets funneled through the Treasury and people that Trump appoints. So it's anything that the federal government, by which I mean the executive branch in this context, touches is liable to get fucked with, whether it's legal or not. Yeah. But I do agree with Hutch that they would extract a political price for that.
Well, we didn't even talk about, like, there's going to be 100% tariffs on China on November 1st. Like that will be the most.
Will there though? Will there?
Wait, did he back off that?
He started he said on Fox News that that amount was unsustainable, and he put out a tweet like 2 days after he threatened the tariffs, like, we don't want to hurt China, stuff like that. So it looks like
I missed that, but
yeah. Well, fellas, listen, I really have to throw in the towel. This is part of the problem. This is part of what I mean. I could do this for another 3 hours, and
shouldn't it be 3 hours on your last one though?
No, I don't
dude,
think so. I don't think so.
Who's
That's
got
the fucking
in
problem.
here, man?
He's in the middle. He's literally every time you saw him look down, he's door dashing the fattiest, greasiest burger you can think of. He's like, I need it. I need to get out.
That's not true. Not this time. That's not this time, because I already door dashed a fucking Domino's pizza 20 minutes before I started. It's funny. So my wife gets home from the gym, and I'm like, hey, listen, don't worry about the HelloFresh. I ordered the Domino's pizza, and I've got to stuff my face. So I'm literally like cramming hot wings in my mouth and fucking a pizza roll.
Get wings from Domino's?
Because I like they have the pepperoni cheesy bread, which I wanted, but I also wanted wings too. So I was like double fisting. And she was like filling me in on her day or whatever, and I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, I've got 10 minutes, 7 minutes, 2 minutes, and I'm out. So
listen to me. If you're gaining weight because you're fucking door dashing too much, I'm gonna blow your mind. Okay, go on Amazon, and through Amazon Fresh, check out a brand called Kevin's Natural Foods. They're those dinners that, they come kind of prepackaged and they take like 3 minutes to cook. But if you just pair that with some fucking rice and some broccoli, which takes like 8 minutes to fucking steam, it's like 25 minutes total to make dinner, and they're fucking good. Like, they're really fucking good. They're not a lot of calories.
Well, I think Soy Pill is actually considering relocating from California over to Charlotte, and we're going to do Lift and Learn.
Lift and Learn, let's go. Yeah. My recommendation is DoorDash more, and I look like this, so.
Listen, it's not the problem for me is that's all I can credit at this point. Like, my arms are like all I've got going for me left. Everything else, got a fucking tire around my waist. It's insane. So, but folks, listen, like I said, I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to, I'm sure, checking in on Live and Learn post Jessiah. I'm sure it's going to reach stratospheric new heights. And I'm sure I'll pop in certainly in super chats and maybe guest
I'm already
from time
innovating,
to time.
Josiah. I'm thinking intros, possibly even outros, maybe a theme song. It's only uphill from here.
I think it's gonna be great. I think you guys should come in like Bohemian Rhapsody style. This Queen had 4 members, like each of you, like you do some sort of jingle at the very beginning. It's gonna be great.
We need to do like a reunion Live and Learn with all the panelists and on the rooftop of some fucking place. And,
I will say this. We talked about it and we never pulled the trigger on it. I am still down to do some sort of event in person. 3 of the 5 of us are in California. I have not been to California. I will be in Vegas in February to see Backstreet Boys and Def Leppard because they're both doing residencies in Vegas. Yeah, so I mean, I'll be in the West Coast, but I still have not been to California, so I'd love to do that.
Let's go, John. You been?
Yeah.
You been to California?
I've been.
Okay. Well, shit. Yeah. Then let's do it. Let's go. I'm fine with that. I don't know. Like,
let's go to IR's house.
Hell yeah.
I'm sure his roommate Obama would love to have us.
That's right, Mr. President.
I'd love to host you guys. It'd be awesome.
Wait, are you just? And you don't have to get specific. I'm just curious. Like, are you guys even like vaguely near each other? Because California's a massive fucking state.
Me and I are. And then
in LA,
are you in the Bay Area?
Yeah, it's an hour plane flight for me.
I drive up there all the time. I'm going up there in the beginning of November. Hey, do you have a fucking couch I can sleep on? Actually.
Yes, I do have a couch.
Put him on the spot.
Okay.
As long as I'm not allergic to
he's
my
like, it's sticky. He's like,
I love cats.
He's like, it's sticky.
I love cats.
I steam clean it. Okay, it's not sticky.
How many cats do you have?
My roommate has 2. So
two gatos.
2 gatos.
I'm dead serious, by the way.
Absolutely. It'd be great to meet you in person.
Awesome. Get an Airbnb.
And I have an extra hat for you that you will be taking with you. As you understand that Jessiah, well, I sell them to my top patrons, but for friends, they get them for free. But I will say this, as Jessiah is moving away, and for whatever reason, I'm the one who gets mod controls over everyone's volume. Eventually, you're all going to be wearing these, okay? So get ready.
But no, if we want to put something together, like I'll seriously, like I would, we go out to California if we want to rent like a studio space for a day or 2. I would do that.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Before you go, I feel like we should really just finally establish something, which is like, do you think that Biden should have done more to pressure Kyrsten Sinema?
So honestly, at the end of all of it, Hutch, I've got to say this. Yes, I do. And before I go, it's not even really about the Kyrsten Sinema Joe Manchin thing. I really need you to explain the Green Lantern theory of politics because I don't know what that is. What is
Lantern theory?
I'm glad you asked.
You've never heard of that?
It's something about willpower.
And what is Collargate? I want to know both of these things, and I'd like you to explain it to me real quick. And do they connect?
He had a big post on YouTube recently where he's like explaining it.
I saw it. I fucking saw.
In honor of Kyrsten Sinema, when you bow out, can you give us a little curtsy?
Oh fuck!
No, because I don't have my skirt on. And bold of you to assume I'm wearing pants right now in the first place. There's a reason the shit's from the waist up. So
all that door dashing. You got to loosen the belt in the middle of the.
Oh
podcast.
my god! I'm just wearing a belt, nothing else.
What's the most triggered that you've been on an episode of Live and Learn?
The Vanguard conversation by far.
Really?
Yeah, because I screamed at you and I screamed at Hutch. I lost my. I split the difference there. Yeah, by far the Vanguard episode.
In general, you get most mad at Hutch or me?
I get madder at Hutch more frequently. In terms of severity, it truly is. Like you guys, you know how I don't know if you edit in Adobe Premiere Pro. Actually, you guys probably have editors, so I don't. But if you like get your sound level, you know how it like cracks the red. You both get into the red every fucking time when we disagree. But I just disagree with Hutch more recently. So
okay, what's your favorite moment of the whole pod?
True.
Probably because this one there are 2. It took me off guard. No, 3. There are 3. One, the most recent one was Hutch using the phrase "soy pills juicy ass." That was pretty funny. The second one was, and this one by far took me off guard the most, was when Econoboy said he had camera issues. Remember, and the camera was down, and
and he came in with
fucking fucking like communist outfit, and we were all.
Oh, and Ukrainian Anna was like, "You have no idea what this has done emotional damage to me."
All shook, yeah. Like, but that took me off because the way he delivered it, I thought he really did have camera issues. Like, I just didn't even think about it, and so I think I was in the middle of something, and I turned, and I remember Hutch's expression, his eyebrows just like went off his head, and that took me off guard. But the one that went furthest back was, and I have this video still on my phone because my wife and I laughed our asses off about it. So Pisco, I think, had a different microphone stand. And he was in the process of we were in the middle of a group conversation.
No, it's the same one. This one.
Yeah. Oh, it was. And he was fucking with the microphone, and the spring went off, and the microphone stand just came up and hit him right in the nose. And he tried to downplay it.
My physical pain.
So like it just sprung up like a fucking cartoon. He clipped him right in the nose, and he went back like this, and then he tried to smile, like not give it away. But those are my top 3 live and learn moments.
I just took notes, guys. That means going forward, I hope we can all be on the same page, more slapstick comedy, costumes, and sexual objectification of the other co-host.
Correct. That's the winning live and learn. That is by far the winning live and learn formula. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, folks, listen, people are still asking. I got a message like, are you giving up content creation? No. I'm just not streaming anymore.
He's tripling down on content.
No,
creation.
I don't have any juice left in the tank for that shit. It's 5 to 7, 5 to 8
I've got
videos
a lot somewhere.
6 days a week.
Hutch, I've got a lot of juice to spare for you, Jessiah. So
oh my god, yes you do. You store it right in your camel hump ass. So All right. So
Well, safe travels to you, and have a bitchin' summer, Jessiah.
I appreciate it. And again, we'll keep touching the text thread and figure out a date to do a live and learn reunion in person. So, all right.
Stay cool,
Bye,
guys.
everybody. See ya.